The scene is set at the magnificent and imposing Valkyria International Academy. It's April 2032, a voice booms out recruits. Are you ready then, Principal Tsushima Atsushi? His brow furrowed, his gaze sharp and intense. Growls an announcement, then we will begin the class placement exam. Now inside the arena, the students are eager. Weapons in hand, moving forward with purpose. The principal's voice continues to resonate. The first test is a practical competition held annually. He then announces first test, Goblin Elimination. The principal watches the proceedings from his office. Via tablet screen, he continues. The test will be broadcast live. I invite those citizens who support the school to vote and rate the students on the live streaming platform. Comments pour, and they all look so strong this year. It is a prestigious school. After all, is that a high school with a female swordsman? In the principal's office, the camera continues to broadcast. He adds, the results of this exam will have a huge impact on your future. Fight with all your might to enter the upper echelons. Back in the forest, 3 goblins with wooden clubs are standing back to back, scanning their surroundings cautiously. Kuramura Takayuki suddenly lunges forward, his iron gauntlets swiftly dispatching one goblin. The comments section explodes. An ancient artifact with wind powers. Does it increase his speed? His strength seems a bit weak though. That impact must hurt. A gust of wind seems to move the trees in the next instant. Blades of kai fly in from another direction, slicing down a goblin, Minase Shizuku. Her sharp sword in hand lands elegantly. Completing the attack, this scene sparks a frenzy in the comments. Whoa, a female warrior has appeared. I'm applying to this school. Unbelievable, she's super strong. Her artifact covers both short and long range. That's amazing, I want one like that. And then from above, a female figure wielding a stunning holy lance descends. The goblin below, hearing the commotion, looks up, but it's too late. Shiro Hinosachi executes a decisive strike, creating a large shockwave. Comments erupt again. Whoa, crazy powerful. She's so tiny yet wielding such a giant lance. How cool, teachers. Please notice me. Agreed. Nearly everyone is watching the performance of this year's candidates. After witnessing the previous displays, the commentators are in awe. This year's list is insane. This vote is going to be tough. Should I vote for that cute girl from before? Who? There are too many cute people. Hey, vote responsibly. Another commenter adds, they're paying for their school with our tax money anyway. The image of Sachi with her great lance and Shizuku with her enchanted sword is breathtaking. At this academy, strength is the ultimate standard. The powerful can obtain wealth and prestige even as students. But then a strange, extremely loud sound echoes from the forest, causing the students to flinch with concern. In the comment section, people are immediately questioning, what's that loud noise? LOL, what is that? Observing a drone flying overhead, one person quickly comments, the camera, hurry up, in the forest. A student in a yellow outfit is speeding towards a nearby goblin. As he charges, Asahi Hinata in his eye-catching outfit shouts with all his might. The viewers are taken aback. Wait, LOL. What is that outfit? The comment section explodes. What the heck is this? LOL. LOL, dude. That's next level cheap. Where's his artifact? Did he drop it? Don't tell me that trashy outfit is his artifact. Whether it's from using all his energy to shout or something else. Before Hinata can even attack, the goblin smacks him squarely on the head. One viewer comments, he's so weak. Thus at this school, the weak have no reason to exist. The viewers are in an uproar. Again, he got attacked by a goblin. LOL, a dark chapter in school history has just been born. What are he and that weakest goblin doing? Why did they even accept him into this school? Even though he's so weak, he's still fighting. That's impressive. Staggering from the blow, Hinata kneels looking around. He notices a broken tree branch beside him. He quickly reaches out and tightly grabs it. But at that moment, something strange happens. An enormous jolt of electricity surges through Hinata and the branch, causing him to cry out in pain. Viewers are confused. Where did the electricity come from? Did he get electrocuted by a branch? That scream sounds so hilarious. A circle on Hinata's wrist displays a message. Cannot equip set for beginners. Where cannot equip weapons. Hinata, realizing something is amiss, whirls around to see the goblin looking at him with a mocking grin, still swinging its wooden club. Immediately, Hinata is beaten mercilessly by the goblin, unable to counterattack, only covering his head in defense. Very quickly, Hinata is battered and sprawled on the ground. Viewers react to, "Oh, this looks dangerous, doctor, over here, principal. A kid is about to die here." The audience sees Hinata trembling, slowly sitting up, and continue to comment. He can still stand that resilience is worth recognizing. Blood and tears stream down his face. However, Hinata bites his lip to endure. The bright yellow suit on his body slowly disappears. Now completely naked, he grabs the broken branch and charges towards the goblin. Causing it to panic, the viewers are shocked. A broadcast malfunction, everyone. LOL, LOL. The comments section erupts once more. Turns out that trashy thing was his artifact. LOL, he said he couldn't take it off. LOL, LOL. Why would he remove his artifact just because he can't wield a weapon? LOL, who would have thought it would turn out like this? LOL, LOL. Don't waste my tax money on someone like that. Ridiculous, hilarious, LOL. LOL, I'm dying here. LOL, this humiliating performance is broadcast nationwide, serving as proof that everyone at school considers him the lowest of the low. In the end, Hinata, along with other candidates, passes the exam and becomes a student. His student card, however, has not been marked with a single star. And so my student life began in this tattered outfit. He then reflects, I remember the interdimensional war, the battle between humans and hordes of ferocious monsters. Hinata recounts one day, they suddenly appeared and within a few years, pushed the world to the brink of destruction. A flashback shows Hinata as a child, witnessing a young girl trying to pull her mother from a pile of rubble. The city is in ruins, smoke and devastation everywhere. Most of the weapons we had could not harm them, and humanity had no choice but to wait for death. The young Hinata's face is distraught, his wide eyes filled with loss. Staring into the distance, a massive, strange-looking monster floats in the sky. Its mouth begins to gather energy. It then directs this energy toward Hinata and unleashes a torrent of flames. The young Hinata can only raise his arms to defend himself. At that time, a glimmer of hope appeared. The ancient artifacts. These artifacts imbued with power included swords, shields, bows, and gauntlets. More broadly, ancient artifacts are objects formed when a person comes into contact with materials from another dimension. It is a representation of a part of their soul. Hinata watches a past broadcast on TV. As he narrates, my father used a shield artifact to protect people. He was my role model. The young Hinata's eyes are filled with admiration. Back in the flashback, two people are desperately using their artifacts to block the monster's flames. One of them wielding a scepter falls. Hinata's father, using his shield, shouts, Hinata, take Shizuku and run facing the flames. He looks back at his son and says, become stronger, strong enough to protect everyone. Hinata's eyes fill with tears, and his small hand tries to reach for his father. He can only clench his teeth, tears streaming down his face. Hinata wipes away his tears and moves towards Shizuku. He takes her hand and pulls her to her feet. Hinata runs with Shizuku, not daring to look back. The helplessness I felt that day is still engraved in my heart. Recovering from my regret, I trained hard even in the pouring rain. Hinata runs, never stopping. He pushes weights until he is drenched in sweat. Never resting, I trained as if my life depended on it. He trains day after day only to become stronger. His father's words resonate in his heart. Time passes and half a year has gone by since he enrolled in this elite warrior academy. Recently, I have finally realized something. Back in the present, Takayuki arrogantly sneers Hinata. It's time you gave up. Hinata, bruised and battered, coughs. Takayuki continues, hurry up and get me some yakisoba bread. And before you go, drink this milk. He then pours a carton of milk over Hinata's head. Hinata's expression darkens as he grits his teeth and endures the humiliation. Hinata thinks hard work doesn't necessarily lead to good results. That's the truth, just as Hinata is about to leave. Takayuki pats him on the back. Oh, I almost forgot. He had placed a sticker that says hero arrives on Hinata's back. He then puts an arm around Hinata and says, if you dare to take that off before you come back, you're dead. Hinata endures this insult, but still doesn't say anything. As he walks down the hallway, people stare and whisper, look at him. Does he not have any shame showing up in a hero outfit? Lure that kid's being bullied again. Suddenly something catches Hinata's eye. Ahead of him is Shizuku, still confident and beautiful. She also notices Hinata, but coldly walks past him as if they are strangers. As she passes him, Shizuku closes one eye and then the other. Hinata glances back at the girl. She's the girl I dragged away from the interdimensional war. Minasi Shizuku. A friend I knew before I even had any sense of the world. Like me, she also lost her father that day. Hinata hears a sound and glances down, noticing other students practicing with swords. He thinks from that day on, we were best friends, always supporting each other. But our relationship changed. After enrolling at this academy, he remembers a vision of Shizuku, a beautiful girl with blue hair, a top student with a powerful artifact. Hinata compares her to himself. While she's the outstanding honor student, I'm the trash with just a cosplay artifact. He feels a twinge of bitterness. I'm used to the looks of disdain. Hinata, holding two breads in his arms, opens the classroom door. A shoe immediately flies and hits him on the head. The one who threw the shoe is Takayuki. Hagane, standing beside him, is startled. He sits on the desk with an annoyed expression. Hey Hinata, you're too slow. Didn't I tell you to hurry? Hagen speaks up. Don't throw shoes at him in my classroom. Takayuki is annoyed. Go get it yourself. Suddenly, Hinata notices something and looks towards a corner of the classroom. There other students huddle. Talking animatedly, Hinata thinks, including students with low-quality artifacts and uncertain futures. Class Iakane says, well, you know. And Minamura adds, oh really? Looking at these students, Hinata continues, this is the class of students with no ambition. Not even the teachers care. A trash class, a Takayuki. Looking furious, cracks his knuckles and says, hey, where are you looking? Can't you see I'm talking to you? His gauntlet artifact activates, and with a strong blow, he punches Hinata in the gut. Catching him off guard, Hinata thinks, normally artifacts are only allowed in designated areas. But these guys don't care about school rules. Takayuki shows off his artifact gauntlet and frowns. He says, are you doing this on purpose? Hinata doubled over vomits. Takayuki angrily says, or should I teach you a lesson? Don't make me mad. Hinata continues to vomit, sweat pouring down his face. In class of the worst, I'm at the very bottom. Hinata feels bitter and resigned. And I've been constantly beaten for half a year. Hagane, who had been silent, speaks up. Takayuki. That's a little too much. Hinata's bread will get ruined. 2 pieces of bread lie on the ground. Takayuki says, oh, that's right, since he went to the trouble of buying them. I should pay him back, right? He then kicks Hinata, sending him crashing to the ground, and laughs mockingly. The other students seem accustomed to the scene. Akane says, not again. Takayuki and Hinata. Minamura agrees. Poor guy. Akane asks Minamura, why does Takayuki hate Hinata so much? Minamura replies, because Takayuki was assigned to Class E because of Hinata. Flashback to the time Hinata grabbed Takayuki's leg and took the hits. Minamura continues, after the first test, there was a mock battle to evaluate artifact quality. Hinata showed incredible perseverance in that match. Akane asks, like now? Minamura says, exactly. Takayuki was rated poorly because he couldn't land a decisive hit. Observing the violence, the 2 girls simply watch silently. Hinata is now severely bruised. Takayuki grabs him by the collar. Lifting him into the air, he yells, do you understand your place now? Suddenly, a notification appears. 9,990 out of 10,000. Hinata's mouth curves into a faint smirk. Takayuki's face darkens, and his anger surges. He punches Hinata hard in the face with his artifact gauntlet. Another notification appears. The number changing to 9,991 out of 10,000. He's thrown far away. The notification keeps increasing. Hinata's body slams into some desks which are scattered. He slumped over. Takayuki says with disdain, what makes you weak as you are? Make that arrogant face. Inherited a weak artifact hub. I bet your parents also had trash artifacts. Hinata is stunned, his eyes widening at the mention of his parents. Takayuki continues with contempt. Introduce them to me sometime. I'll destroy your whole family. Hinata's hands clench, trembling. Takayuki gestures with a thumbs down, sticking out his tongue and taunting. If you're mad, try to retaliate. That is if you can. Hinata, furious, darkens and grits his teeth. At that moment, Hagane suddenly cries out, hey Takayuki. Takayuki grabs his collar, stopping him mid-sentence. Isn't that enough for you protecting this loser? He moves his face closer, making Hagani tremble with fear. Takayuki adds, "Do you care about this trash?" Hagani cowers. "No way, I don't care about such trash." Letting him go, Takayuki smiles. "Then you hit him too. There's a weapon right there." A single line makes Hagani's face pale. He is forced to grab a chair. Takayuki watches amused. Hagani really does attack Hinata hard with the chair. A notification appears again. 10,000 out of 100,000. Takayuki casually says, "Hey, pick up the bread." Hagani immediately complies. "Yes, sir." He nods his head, is bleeding profusely, and he begins to think. I am weak. He remembers all the relentless training. Even with 10 years of training, there's no guarantee that my efforts will pay off. But the marking on Hinata's hand beeps. A notification appears. You have met the condition for upgrade received. 10,000 out of 10,000. Damage. His head is still covered in blood, but his mouth curves into a smile. Another notification. You can now upgrade your beginner set to the resilient armor. His smile widens. Hinata reaffirms his thinking. If my efforts are not rewarded, then I'll keep trying till I am. The mark on the back of his hand lights up. His eyes are resolute because I don't know what it means to give up. That suit holds a secret I realized about 6 months ago. Not long after the class placement exam ended, Asahi Hinata in his cosplay outfit walks towards the training dungeon entrance. Lost in thought. He thinks I was a complete failure in the class placement exam. At this rate, I'll get expelled for being incompetent. That's how Valkyrie Academy works. Funded by public taxes. They won't hesitate to kick out useless students. Most of those who apply to this school are those who can't do anything without government support. I'm one of them, and I absolutely can't afford to get expelled. Hinata clenches his fist. There's still a chance holy artifacts can evolve. For example, the more a holy artifact is used, the stronger its traits will become. His hand rests on the door, hesitant. But what are my artifact's traits? What if this tattered outfit has no special power? Hinata pushes the door open, brushing away those thoughts. No, I can't think like that. He slowly walks towards the teleportation gate, reminding himself, I can't keep living like this. Inside the dungeon, Hinata falls back, his heart pounding as he stares at the goblin in front of him. This is dangerous. I'm going to die. Hinata tries to get up. That's right. Before humans had holy artifacts, we struggled even with guns against goblins. Hand-to-hand combat is impossible. He sits up wondering, what should I do? Should I take off the suit and fight again? Hinata grimaces with pain. No, if I do that, the artifact won't develop. I have to find a way to take damage while wearing this suit. He recalls the time when electricity coursed through his body. His eyes widen in surprise. Without hesitation, Hinata jumps up and runs straight towards the goblin. The goblin swings its club. Hinata quickly raises his arms to block. As Hinata falls, the screen lights up with a message. Restricted equipment beginner set. Wearer cannot equip weapons. Electricity crackles around Hinata. A wave of determination washes over him. I will never give up. The electricity affects the goblin, making it fall. Hinata struggles to stand, looking at the charred creature. He smiles, smudged with dirt. I did it. The goblin's body disappears, leaving behind a magic stone. Hinata crawls over to it, thinking that was close. I shouldn't try that method again. He picks it up, delighted after all that trouble. All I get is this tiny magic stone. Suddenly, the stone glows and vanishes from his hand. He's stunned. It disappeared. The system suddenly issues a series of notifications. Absorbed first magic stone. Your resilient armor has reacted. Absorbed first magic stone. Your resilient armor has reacted. Unlock the following features. Opening system screen, added mission update. Hinata stares at the screen, bewildered. This is since that day. I've spent almost half a year taking damage carefully. At the school dormitory, Hinata is warming up. The time has come. He checks the system upgrade condition. Receive 10,000 out of 10,000. Damage beginner set. Now able to upgrade to resilient armor. Hinata swipes at the screen. But how do I upgrade it? A message pops up. Search method for upgrade. Only the owner of the armor can give voice commands. Keyword upgrade. He studies it for a moment. Hinata makes the decision to proceed. He holds out his hand and commands. Upgrade. Immediately his cosplay suit begins to change. Black lines appearing on it. Hinata looks at himself in the mirror. So this is the resilient armor. He turns to look around. It's certainly a subtle change, but I've never heard of any holy artifact that can change its shape. Before he wonders, has its performance changed too? The screen displays status. Strength 14, endurance 18. Intelligence 0, physical ability 11. Skills not displayed, adaptability not displayed. And not a stairs, what is this? I've never seen the screen before. The detailed information is incredible. A notification rings out. Item. The resilient armor. Grants powerful protection and the blessing of growth to its wearer. Hinata reads again, powerful protection and the blessing of growth. I'm not sure exactly, but it seems my defense is better than before. He looks at the wall clock. The training dungeon is about to open. Hinata clenches his fist. I should test the upgraded armor strength a bit. The scene shifts. A goblin is timidly hesitating. A wind-tearing sound echoes through the trees. Shizuku, with a sharp gaze, effortlessly slices the goblin in half. Looking at its decomposing corpse, she sighs. It wasn't even worth training for hearing the noise. She glances over that. Hinata flashes into her sight. Sachi calls out to her. Shizuku. What is it? She grasps her artifact, looking at Shizuku. Shizuku closes her eyes briefly. It's nothing. Sachi follows Shizuku's gaze and exclaims, "Oh, over there." Sachi places her hand over her mouth and giggles. I remember now. That's the interesting guy who caused the broadcast incident. Shizuku takes up her artifact and walks away. If you want to laugh that much, why not drop out of school and go into entertainment? Sachi calls out Shizuku. Are you mad? Shizuku says flatly. I'm not mad, just bored. She suddenly says something enigmatic. I set my expectations high, only to be disappointed again. Sachi tilts her head, looking at her retreating back. I wonder why Shizuka hates that kid so much. Suddenly she realizes something. But come to think of it, Sachi looks at Hinata standing before a goblin. Does his suit always look like that? On the other side, the goblin swings its club. Hinata quickly blocks with his arms. Good, I blocked it. The armor's defense has increased. As expected, he prepares to strike. It's not that I don't take any damage, but with this armor, I can take a step forward. Hinata punches straight into it. The goblin looks down at him. It grabs Hinata's head and slams him down. The fall is too quick for Hinata to react. The goblin swings its club. Bracing for impact, it pummels him relentlessly. Hinata recoils, shielding his head. Damn it, this is useless. At this rate, even if I withstand their onslaught, I can't possibly win. Should I risk it again? Abruptly, the pain vanishes. Hinata's eyes snap open, scanning his surroundings. 3 more goblins have encircled him. Panic floods Hinata. Since when were they there? He bolts. I'm in serious trouble. If they're this numerous, I'm doomed, he screams internally. Somebody help me. Just then, a voice resonates within his mind. Listen carefully, Hinata. You cannot always depend on others. As danger descends, the image of Hinata's father materializes. In perilous times, you can only rely on yourself. He tenderly strokes Hinata's hair. Be brave, my son, to become a hero who rescues those in peril. Hinata is jolted back to reality as a goblin grabs his arm. Another one strikes him hard on the shoulder. Hinata steals his resolve. That's it. He lunges for the club. A notification pops up, equipment unavailable. Beginners wearing this set cannot wield weapons. Electricity crackles around his body and rapidly surges towards the 2 nearby goblins. Their grips loosen. Seizing the opportunity, he makes a run for it. Hinata glances at his hand. He flees without a backward glance. It's not a question of whether I can or can't. The screen brightens. Your unwavering determination has resonated with your fire-resistant armor. You have acquired the skill. Revenge. His eyes blaze with determination. It's that I must. The notification continues. Activation conditions met. Revenge. Use a voice command to name your newly acquired skill. Skill effect. Revenge. Accumulates incoming damage and transforms it into power for 10 seconds. Usable only once per day. Remaining uses. 1/1. Hinata stops reading the description, a stunned expression washing over his face. A new skill. But the goblins are closing in. Hinata clenches his fist. Damn it, no time to hesitate. I have to give it a shot, he yells. Revenge! The system initiates a countdown. Hinata charges forward, slamming his fist into the largest goblin's stomach. The impact sends it crashing into the others behind. Without pausing, Hinata presses the attack. He delivers another swift blow to its jaw. The surrounding goblins are also caught in the onslaught. Veins bulge on Hinata's face as he strains. He unleashes a final, devastating punch directly to the last goblin's head. Finished, he wipes the sweat from his forehead. Hinata collapses to the ground. Breathing a sigh of relief, he sees skill, revenge displayed on the screen. Accumulates received damage and converts it into power for 10 seconds. Activatable only once per day. Remaining uses 0/1. His gaze lingers on the notification. So, this is a skill, a potential ace in the hole, but usable only once daily, and only after sustaining damage. Hinata struggles to his feet. I'm bound to face countless more situations like this. I can't always rely on brute force. He runs a hand over his cosplay attire. I still haven't mastered the true potential of my holy artifact. The armor's transformation feels more like a minor boost, rather than a significant enhancement to my stats. If this is the actual nature of my holy artifact, the glimmer from the magic stone catches his eye. As before, Hinata picks it up. It promptly disappears, and the system chimes. He glances at it. A notification scrolls into view. The resilient armor absorbed the magic stone, unlocking latent functionalities. The system began a rapid sequence of updates, unlocking new features one after another. Status: durability significantly enhanced. Passive skill acquired, willpower enhancement. Proficiency in equipped weapon increased. Gauntlets, weapon proficiency significantly augmented. Sword, weapon proficiency substantially improved. Blunt weapon, physical ability boosted. A glimmer of hope sparked in Hinata's eyes. I can grow stronger, he affirmed. 1 week later, a goblin prowled through the forest, its eyes relentlessly scanning its surroundings. A shadowy figure descended from the canopy above. It was Hinata. Fueled by vengeance, he unleashed a powerful punch, striking the goblin squarely in the head. The goblin crumpled to the ground, lifeless. Hinata retrieved the magic stone, a triumphant grin spreading across his face. Finally, I vanquished a hobgoblin, he exclaimed. As the stone dissipated, he released a sigh. That was a close one. The system screen flashes a notification. Mission objective accomplished. First hobgoblin vanquished. Mission complete. An upgrade will be awarded. His gaze falls upon the hobgoblin's club, discarded from the recent battle. Hinata snatches it up, ecstatic. Finally, a real weapon, he exclaims. He examines the cascade of reward notifications. Blunt weapon proficiency unlocked. Sword proficiency unlocked. Fist proficiency unlocked. Collision resistance level 1 acquired. Armor equip ability granted. Strength +2. Durability +4. Agility +2. He can't help but feel a surge of awe. Besting a formidable foe truly pays off. Now I can transform and keep my armor, he realizes. He meticulously scrutinizes the updated statistics. Ever since the upgrade list appeared, his artifact has undergone a substantial transformation. He peruses the newly displayed attributes. Strength, 18. Intelligence, 0. Durability, 35. Agility, 13. Skills, Revenge Art. Passive skill, Collision Resistance. LV1 passive skill, Stun. No Limit 3, passive skill. Willpower Enhancement LV1. Passive skill, Armor Equipability. Proficiency, Blunt Weapons, Swords Fists. He observed that the upgrades primarily focused on increased durability. Within the upgrade list section, he spotted an upgrade for proficiency in blunt weapons and arms. Defeat a total of 10 goblins. Eliminate 1 hobgoblin. Equip the resilient armor continuously for 1 hour. These stipulations outlined the requirements for enhancing the armor. Most of the prerequisites involved hunting monsters. Once the conditions were fulfilled, the newfound power would be instantly imbued into the armor. Hinata propped his chin on his hand, lost in thought. Skill, passive skill, he murmured. Collision resistance, LV1. Reduces impact damage. Collision resistance, just as I suspected. It's a purely defensive skill. My only offensive ability is revenge. And even that's tricky to utilize. He pondered how to acquire additional attack options. Perhaps I need to further enhance my armor. But I'm clueless about the trigger. What activates? Hinata reclined beneath a tree. The word trigger echoing repeatedly in his mind. Silence descended. Now that I consider it, when I obtained the revenge skill, the upgrade options weren't even available. Yet, I still acquired it. When will the conditions to unlock resilient armor manifest again? Hinata wondered, was it when I absorbed that initial monocrystal? No, there was a more crucial message. You have successfully absorbed the first monocrystal. The armor has responded to your indomitable will. He closed his eyes in contemplation. It definitely mentioned something about an unyielding spirit. Could this be a matter of mental fortitude? Suddenly, Hinata's eyes widened in realization. Or perhaps it's about emotion. It was a bright, clear morning at the hospital. Hinata entered a room. Upon seeing him, Hikari greeted him with a cheerful smile. Big brother Hinata. Hinata pulled a chair up beside her bed. Is it all right if I sit here? She replied brightly. Of course. I feel fantastic today. Her eyes crinkled as she flexed her arm. Look, I need to get stronger before they discharge me. Hinata offered a gentle smile. I know you do. Hikari carefully pulled back the curtain beside her bed. By the way, she began, Mom seems a bit better today, doesn't she? Hinata leaned closer. Yeah. He remembered that since the accident, his mother hadn't awakened from her slumber for a decade. Crystal sickness, a debilitating affliction stemming from the venom of specific monsters. Currently incurable, it plagues many. Hinata gazes at Hikari, lost in thought. My little sister was also afflicted, he reveals, his voice heavy. But because of our mother's selfless sacrifice to shield her, the effects were lessened, and she's slowly on the mend. He recalls the physician's encouraging words. If her progress remains consistent, the doctor had stated, she might be well enough for discharge next year. Suddenly, a man enters the room, intruding upon Hinata's contemplation. His arrival abruptly halts Hinata's train of thought. Hikari immediately recognizes the visitor. Mr. Jingi, the man beams, greeting her warmly. Hikari, you're looking well? Genji presents a basket overflowing with fruit. This is a small token for your recovery, he offers. Thank you, she replies, her voice filled with delight. The man gently pats Hinata's shoulder. Hinata, it's been some time. This is quite opportune. Genji leans closer, lowering his voice to a whisper. Let's have a chat, Genji proposed as the two stood in the cafeteria. Retrieving a beverage from the vending machine, Genji continued. Shouldn't you give me your answer now? Hinata observed his every action. This was Kagura Genji, the leader of the Phoenix Guild, an organization established to combat monstrous threats. Genji offered a smile, drink in hand. If you want to provide for your frail sister and ailing mother, who suffers from an incurable affliction, you'll need funds, correct? The Phoenix Guild was also where my father served, Hinata added. Noting Hinata's silence, Genji pressed on. Don't waver. Don't you desire a remedy for your mother's illness? Hinata gritted his teeth. He always feigns benevolence, Hinata thought bitterly. This man's proposition is despicable. Crystals materialized within. Individuals afflicted with crystal sickness. These crystals possess qualities akin to monocrystals. Monocrystals are a groundbreaking new energy source for mankind. But imagine if we could synthesize them endlessly to investigate. The victims of this uncommon crystalline affliction. Sufferers are covertly traded for exorbitant sums. So this man's essentially asking me to surrender my mother as a lab rat, all while speaking of finding a remedy. Hinata declares firmly, I must decline. Genji readjusts his spectacles. Your paternal inheritance is likely dwindling, he observes. How much longer can you sustain the hospital bills? A few more years. Genji's words give him pause. This was a concern that had been weighing on him as well. He lowers his voice, addressing Hinata. With a subpar artifact like yours, you'll never generate sufficient income to provide for your family. Hinata's fists clench. He refuses to let Genji's taunts affect him. Even if that's true, Hinata states resolutely, I cannot comply. With unwavering determination, Hinata declares, I will safeguard my family, because it was my final vow to my father. He reiterated, as I mentioned before, please keep this from my sister. Genji patted his head reassuringly. Of course, I wouldn't want Hikari to despise me. Genji discarded his can in the bin. Turning his back, he added, regardless, if you reconsider, reach out. Leaving Hinata there, he clicked his tongue and departed. Hinata returned to his mother and sister's room. He resolved, I must protect my family in my father's absence. Hikari saw him enter. Big brother, what was that discussion about? Hinata concealed the truth. It's a secret. He intensified his efforts towards his objective. To achieve that, I must join a reputable guild and acquire sufficient funds to safeguard my family. He approached his mother's bedside and took a seat. Gazing at her, Hinata's determination intensified. I must grow stronger than I currently am. A moment later, exiting the hospital, he merged with the throng on the street. Hinata checked the time. The school gates were still open. He strode confidently forward, resolute in his decision. This was no time for rest. Let's skip the rest. A noise emanated from an alley he passed. Hinata glanced over. Isn't that our school uniform? Within the alleyway, a group huddled. One of them spoke. It's all right. Just accompany us, and we'll compensate you. He recognized the girl. Isn't that Yakumo Akane from my class? She flung the guy's hand away. I told you I don't require your money. Hinata pocketed his hands and continued walking. It's inconsequential to me anyway. Inside the alley, the man persisted. But it's a bit late to feign indifference, isn't it? The big boys are expecting you. Yakumo was bewildered. What are you implying? A feminine voice chimed in from behind her. Quit playing coy. Don't act like you don't know. A man in a white cap encroaches on her space. You've never done this before? Akon retorts, exasperated. I have no clue what you're talking about. The man in the orange cap seizes her wrist. It's a misunderstanding. Just a misunderstanding. I've heard differently from others who are acquainted with you. He leans in menacingly. Would it be a problem if this rumor spread around school? When she remains silent, he presses on. It's fine. Just spend a little time with us, and we'll let you go. You might even make some decent cash. The boss said you're his type. You also have a really nice body. You disgusting pig. Akane's face hardens. She spins around and spits directly in his face. The man in the orange cap is utterly stunned. She raises her middle finger, stating icily, Get lost. The two girls behind him erupt in laughter. His rage intensified. That little which is surprisingly strong, he snarled. He seized her collar. Don't play innocent. Come with us. Akane shoved him hard. Get off me. I didn't do anything. Ignoring her pleas, he lunged for her again. It doesn't matter. You're coming with me. Before he could make contact, a hand shot out. Hinata gripped his wrist. Akane gasped, stunned. She recognized him. Hinata, the boy with the orange cap. Yanking his hand back, he demanded, Who the hell are you? Isn't that our school uniform? One of the girls behind him sneered. He looks familiar. Isn't it the guy everyone calls the weakest in Class E? The one with that cosplay-looking artifact, right? The man glared at him with disdain. I know him. He's the one who caused that broadcast incident during the exam. The man in the orange cap refused to engage in a squabble. We have some business with Akana, they interrupted. Could you step aside? Hinata remained firmly planted, shielding Akane. Irritation flared as Hinata refused to budge. Without a word, he lashed out with a swing of his hand. You stuck-up little punk. Who do you think you are? Akane panicked. Can't you see? They're from Class C. You're picking a fight you can't win. The man's fist connected, or rather, it would have, but Hinata effortlessly evaded it, seizing the attacker's hand. The orange-capped man stumbled, losing his balance and falling. In a flash, Hinata drove his knee upwards, delivering a brutal blow. He leaned in, pressing his elbow into the downed man. A cry of pain reverberated through the alleyway. Akane stared, stunned by the swift and decisive action. The orange-capped assailant lay defeated. Hinata rose, his gaze sweeping over the remaining opponents. Meanwhile, at the Valkyrie Academy Kickboxing Club, students were immersed in rigorous training. A fitness coach guided a female student, refining her technique. That's it. Again, he encouraged. Called out Ki. The female student replied, Yes, sir. In the distance, Mine Shizuku was also engaged in a sparring match. She assumed a combat stance, her concentration absolute. Her intensity gave her opponent pause. Her upperclassman, Takahashi, swiftly launched a punch, but Mine Shizuku instantly ducked. Evading the attack, she then leaped into the air, attempting a kick, but just as her foot neared his face, making him flinch and shut his eyes. Mine Shizuku halted her kick midair. She gracefully lowered her leg, sparing her senior, Takahashi. Still slightly apprehensive, he conceded, I lost. You were truly remarkable. Mine Shizuku inclined her head in a bow. Thank you for sparring with me. Takahashi-senpai scratched his head. I didn't anticipate it, but your martial arts skills are phenomenal. He continues his commendation. I've also heard your artifact is top-notch. You're truly dedicated, he observes as Mine Shizuku turns away. There's always potential for growth, she replies. Confused, Takahashi inquires, potential for growth? She wipes perspiration from her brow. Indeed, that's my objective. She adds, well, for the time being, it's merely, Mine Shizuku continues, a modest aspiration to master martial arts, since I possess no other talents to speak of. Meanwhile, Asahi Hinata battles a cluster of Class C students. To safeguard Yakuno Akane, one of his opponents lies sprawled on the ground. Yakuno Akane is astonished by his prowess. She ponders why Hinata seemed so feeble before, unable to defend himself against Takayuki. Abruptly, another Class C student charges towards Hinata, shouting, "You scoundrel!" Asahi Hinata swiftly seizes his hand and attempts a throw. The Class C student is instantly hurled to the ground. Suddenly, a raven-haired student lunged forward, locking Asahi Hinata in a rear chokehold. "Damn it," he roared. "You scumbag!" But Asahi Hinata swiftly retaliated with a brutal elbow to the gut, sending his attacker crumpling to the ground in agony. Asahi Hinata seized the opportunity, maneuvering behind the black-haired student, poised to strike again. He delivered a forceful kick squarely to the head. Yakuno Akane, who had been observing the entire altercation, beamed with delight. Her gaze fixed on Asahi Hinata, who was single-handedly battling 3 Class C students. Admiration filled her voice. "He's incredibly strong," she murmured. Understanding dawned on her. Now I get it, she realized. Hinata only appeared weak because of his dreadful artifact. Without it, he's actually formidable. At that moment, Asahi Hinata glared down at the black-haired student and questioned, "Want to keep going?" The black-haired student was terrified, trembling as he stammered, take this." He cowered in a corner. Asahi Hinata remains oblivious to the pellet gun victim now stirring. Driven by a sudden impulse, he summons an artifact. Fuming inwardly at the perceived arrogance, the pellet gun user curses under his breath, "Damn it," and unleashes a blast of compressed air at Asahi Hinata. Asahi Hinata's head snaps around, finally registering the assault. He swiftly raises a hand to deflect the artifact's power. However, the force is overwhelming, propelling Asahi Hinata backward. His hands scrape against the rough pavement, leaving behind streaks of crimson. He manages to halt his retreat, digging in his heels. Observing Hinata's enscathed state, the pellet gun user clicks his tongue in frustration. "Did I miss?" he mutters. Asahi Hinata examines his hand, bewildered. Passers-by, alerted by the disturbance, begin to chatter amongst themselves. "What's happening?" Whispers ripple through the crowd. "Was that a dangerous artifact? Someone should contact the authorities." The onlookers' remarks make the pellet gun user nervous. Concerned, the 2 girls in the alley warn him, "Hey, you better run. If the cops catch you, you're toast." The Class C students help each other up and leave the pellet gun user behind, who curses under his breath. "Damn it," he shouts. "You'll pay for this," before fleeing. But Asahi Hinata remains, quietly examining his hand. A worried Yakumo Akane asks him, "Are you alright? You took a direct hit." Asahi Hinata responds, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." However, he's thinking to himself, almost no damage. Did it hit a less sensitive area? Seeing that the confrontation is over, he turns to go, saying, "Well then, I'm off." But Yakumo Akane calls out, "Hold on, aren't you going to ask why I was fighting?" Asahi Hinata looks back, perplexed. "Do you want me to ask?" Yakumo Akane shyly lowers her head. "Not really," he replies. "Then I won't pry. Everyone has secrets they'd rather keep." "Wait." Akane hesitates. "Then at least explain why you helped me." I don't think I ever have before." Just then, Asahi Hinata glances over, his attention caught by something. He gestures towards the bouquet in her hands. "You're carrying flowers." He inquires, "Are you on your way to visit someone at the hospital? You should go before it's too late." His thoughtfulness surprises Akane. She watches him walk away, lost in thought. "I used to think you were so weak, always taking beatings without a fight." A blush creeps onto her cheeks. "But you're actually a pretty decent guy." The following day, Asahi Hinata heads to school as usual. Suddenly, someone claps him on the shoulder. "Hey!" Yakuno Akane greets him with a cheerful, "Hey Hinata!" Startled, he replies, Yakuno Akane waves her hand and says, "I completely forgot to thank you yesterday. Thanks for rescuing me." Other students nearby inquire, "Huh? What happened?" Yakuno Akane avoids specifics, simply murmuring, "Oh, that sort of thing." Suddenly, a gun-like device fires a compressed air blast at Asahi Hinata. Without time to react, he's struck directly in the head. He's knocked backward, landing hard on the ground. It's the Class C group from the previous day. The one with the pellet gun raises it menacingly, sneering, "Hey, you're late." He continues with malicious intent. "Thanks for yesterday. By the way, did I mention we attend the same school?" Kyoto Minamura, Yakuno Akane's friend. He exclaims in excitement, "Whoa, that Hinata kid. What did he do to become their victim?" But Yakuno Akane is filled with apprehension. She steps forward. "Hold on a second. If you have something to say it to me, the pellet gun user declares. We have nothing to discuss with you. Step aside, he commands, approaching Asahi Hinata. Yesterday, some busybodies interfered. But here at school, we can act with impunity. Asahi Hinata sits up and retorts. You guys sound like a bunch of pathetic wannabes. The guy in the tall cap flies into a rage. He instantly delivers a stinging slap across Asahi Hinata's face. Don't lump me in with that scum. Asahi Hinata cries out in agony. Ugh, he groans in frustration. He attempts to retaliate with a kick, but a massive hand intercepts. It's futile, the large man scoffs. He says condescendingly, with such a weak artifact, you're no match for me. The colossal hand seizes Sahinata's leg, completely immobilizing him. The hand swiftly hoists Sahinata into the air, leaving him dangling upside down. The pellet gun user leers at the inverted Hinata and sneers. Blame your past. I won't show you any mercy, not until graduation. As he revels in his apparent victory, a sudden shot rings out, striking him in the back of the neck. It's Yakuno Akane, wielding her own unique artifact. Enough already. You're nothing but a pathetic excuse for a human being, she scolds. Her companion, Kyuri Minamura, gasps in astonishment. Wait, Akane! The pellet gun user whirls around, gnashing his teeth in disbelief. Unbelievable, he snarls at Yakuno Akane. A terrifying artifact capable of compressing and launching air. Huh? Interesting, even if they appear identical. Their capabilities are vastly different. The pellet gun user aims his artifact at Sahi Hinata, a menacing glint in his eyes. His voice drips with malice. Shall I give you a demonstration? Without hesitation, he blasts Hinata in the stomach with his artifact, sending him sprawling backward. Asahi Hinata crashes to the ground, groaning in agony. Yakuno Akane cries out in alarm. Hey, what do you think you're doing? But the pellet gun user simply scoffs. Don't overreact. I'm just teaching him a lesson. As the two continue their heated exchange, two new individuals arrive on the scene, Kuromura, Takayuki, and Hagane. They too have witnessed the disturbance. Asahi Hinata struggles to a seated position. He feels his head and thinks, I don't feel any pain. He thinks just like yesterday. How is this possible when I'm not wearing my armor? He realizes something, maybe what's evolving isn't the armor. But Asahi Hinata continues to analyze in his head. If the status window is displaying my own abilities. At that moment the pellet gun, noticing that he's standing up, says, confused, huh? Was I too soft on him suddenly? Asahi Hinata yells revenge. He now has an immense power surging through his body. He's enveloped in blue energy. And his eyes change. Asahi Hinata dashes forward, ready to take on the Class C students. He thinks I'm no longer. He confidently throws a punch, thinking only one thing, the weakest among the weak. As Asahi Hinata unleashes a powerful punch at the Class C students, the guy in white quickly uses his artifact to block it. But the force of the punch is so strong that he's taken by surprise. Asahi Hinata easily sends him flying. Kuromura, Takayuki, and Hagane, witnessing the big guy being smashed into the wall, are shocked. No one can believe their eyes. The pellet gun thinks in fear. What's going on? That giant arm can stop a charging rhino. He turns to look at Asahi Hinata, completely unharmed, thinking, no. It's more than that. How is he still okay? After taking a direct hit from my terrifying artifact. Suddenly Asahi Hinata notices something. The big guy has sat up. He moans. That hurts. The pellet gun asks anxiously, are you okay? To their surprise, the big guy is fine, chuckling. I was just shocked by the surprise attack. I'm completely fine. The pellet gun understands. I see now. The terrifying artifact was ineffective because it didn't hit him properly. Asahi Hinata observes everything, thinking the power is too weak because the damage is so small. The effectiveness of revenge is also weak. He worries, what should I do? I don't have any other finishing moves. He adopts a fighting stance, thinking, I'm so tired of constantly enduring this. Suddenly their teacher appears behind them. Hey, what have you guys been doing all morning? The pellet gun clicks his tongue. What a pain, he says. No need to continue the fight. Yakuno Akane silently breathes a sigh of relief. But Kaori Minamura furrows her brows as if deep in thought. Then Kuromura Takayuki finally speaks. Even though it was nothing, you scare me. Squash a worm and it wiggles right. Maybe I should be more careful for now. I'll definitely turn that guy into dust if I have the chance, haha. But Egon doesn't think so. No, this is different. The giant arm is not an artifact that can be stopped that easily. Hagen looks at Asahi Hinata, who is being scolded by the teacher, thinking he fought Class C without a scratch. Hinata, he's much stronger than before. During lunch break, everyone rushes to get something to eat inside the bathroom. Asahi Hinata looks at his power stats thinking, I thought my artifact's power was only to strengthen my armor, but it's not like that my artifact. He realizes an important fact. It's not just strengthening the armor, it's also making me stronger. Asahi Hinata looks at his strength numbers and wonders, does this mean I can use these abilities without the armor? But why? He crosses his arms muttering, anyway I'll be wearing the armor, so it doesn't make much of a difference. Asahi Hinata turns the lock on the stall, thinking the problem is I'm lacking an offensive power. As he walks he worries, right now I'm lacking a finishing move. How am I supposed to reach the next level? Suddenly, Kuromura Takayuki's voice makes Asahi Hinata flinch. Hey, you could have told me you needed to use the restroom. He throws an arm around Hinata's shoulder. I was about to praise you for this morning. He then shows off his Iron Hand artifact near Asahi Hinata, complimenting him pretty cool. Then, Kuromura Takayuki suddenly delivers a punch to Asahi Hinata's stomach, making him gasp. He whispers, I was just getting started and now you've ruined it. Go buy me some food now. Asahi Hinata, taking a blow to the stomach, doesn't show any emotion or react again. Who is watching them thinks, just as I thought Takayuki hit him directly, but he didn't get hurt like before. He's definitely hiding something. Meanwhile, Hinata looks up at Kuromura Takayuki thinking, today I can't use revenge again. Kuromura Takayuki notices Asahi Hinata's look and asks her, what's with that face? Asahi Hinata clenches his fist thinking, but if it's me now suddenly. A voice interrupts him. Wait. It's Yakuno Akane. Kuromura Takayuki asks, annoyed her. What is it? Yakuno Akane replies. Now I need to talk to Hinata. He's confused. What? Come to think of it, didn't you defend him this morning? Kuromura Takayuki approaches Yakuno Akane. Don't tell me you're going to protect him now. Yakuno Akane retorts, what are you talking about? I said I needed to talk to him. She crosses her arms, adding what? You want to hit me even if I'm a girl? Don't you think that's a little pathetic? This comment seems to strike at Kuromura Takayuki's pride. He grits his teeth with resentment. Kuromura Takayuki turns to leave saying, let's go Hagen. Hagen follows him, saying okay, after they leave. Yakuno Akane asks Asahi Hinata, are you okay? He finally comes back to his senses. Oh yeah, I'm fine, she adds. Just so you know I'm not on your side. Just deal with Takayuki yourself. Asahi Hinata asks, then why did you want to see me? Yakuno Akane says awkwardly, I'm the reason why Class C targeted you, right? So I wanted to apologize. Asahi Hinata smiles. It's okay, I got involved in it myself. His words make Yakuno Akane blush. She smiles happily suddenly. She opens up. My father. He fought monsters from another world on the front lines. But at this point, Yakuno Akane's expression becomes sad. When I was young, he was defeated by a monster. She continues, he's been better than ever since. Our family situation got worse and worse. As you'd expect, she recalls those terrible days. My mother had to see many men to make a living, and she started earning money that way. After that, she started to change her voice monotone. Every day, she brought a different man home. Yakuno Akane continues eventually. She even fell into a cult. She even demanded money from me. She says with great emotion, I'm grateful that she raised me. But no matter how I think about it, I felt that it was wrong, so I came to this school to escape. Yakuno Akane forces a smile at Asahi Hinata. I want to become a great warrior like my father, and fight on the front lines to earn money. But at school I'm in Class A. If things continue like this, my future seems very bleak. She remembers when she was getting bullied by the Class C guys. Anyway, those Class C guys approached me when they learned about my situation. They asked if I needed money. She leans on the railing. I refused them, but they kept bothering me. That's when Asahi Hinata speaks up. Why are you telling me this, Yakuno? Akane answers shyly, isn't it too much that I dragged you into this, without you knowing anything? It wouldn't be good if you misunderstood. She smiles happily. I think you won't go spreading it around, right? Asahi Hinata, caught up in her smile, also smiles. Yakuno Akane adds, now that I think about it, those classy guys have been quiet. I thought they would show up during lunch. Asahi Hinata agrees. Yeah, that's true. Yakuno Akane cautions him. You should be careful, they harass people even at school. Asahi Hinata teases her, look, who's talking? She responds, don't lump me in with your cosplay stuff, or whatever. Yakuno Akane winks before turning to leave. And call me Akane, don't call me you. Asahi Hinata watches her happily and smiles without saying anything. On Kuromura Takayuki's side, he's frustrated and cursing. Damn it, things were going smoothly. Then that got interrupted. Hagani agrees, right. Hinata will get cockier if this keeps up. Kuromura Takayuki cracks his knuckles. He says annoyed, I should teach him a lesson before it happens again, huh? Hagen replies, smiling. Yeah, for sure. Kuromura Takayuki says, planning. Should we call him to the restroom, so we won't be bothered? Hagen suddenly notices something. He looks at the group below thinking. Kyori and those classy guys from this morning. They're staring at each other tensely. Didn't they argue with Akane? But Kyori is walking with Akane. Hagen runs not thinking. Sorry, Takayuki. I forgot my wallet. Let's go to the canteen first. Kuromura Takayuki doesn't understand what's happening, huh? He throws his brow. What is wrong with that guy? Hagen quickly follows the group of Class C students, and Kyori Minamura thinking. Did she tell them off so Akane could be left alone? But that could put Kyori in danger. At that moment, Hagen hears Kyori Minamura say, Can't do it even though I prepared it all for you. The pellet gun scratches his head, saying sorry. I told you don't drag it out. Kyori Minamura sighs and furrows her brow. Then what? Don't you know that we're the ones getting punished by the boss? Do you know how many calls I got from him yesterday? The pellet gun replies, annoyed because you didn't come. He adds, plus, we got interrupted by that group of troublesome guys, and then Akane. She kept refusing as Kyori Minamura asks in disbelief. What really, Akane, why? The pellet gun says, how would we know? He repeats, didn't you say that? Akane almost got sold to a bar before she escaped to this school. Hagen is surprised by this information. He continues to listen as Kyori Minamura speaks again. But now that she's in Class C, isn't it better that she gives up and returns to her old life? Pellet gun asks, aren't you and that girl friends? Kyori Minamura replies casually. We are friends. Her expression becomes more sinister. She shows signs of her artifact and laughs. So I'm being very kind by introducing her to someone who can help. The pellet gun laughs sarcastically. How evil, Kyori Minamura confused asks her. What did you say? She rubs her chin. There are many people who need money at this school. I'm just helping. Akane will definitely be grateful. The pellet gun asks, what are you saying? Are you using your artifact to make us think like that? Kyori Minamura answers lightly. I told you it's not like that. My artifact only makes people listen a little at best. It just makes them feel better. In a corner where the Class C guys can't see. She uses her artifact in an attempt to influence them. Kyori Minamura laughs wickedly, asking right. The big guy, now charmed, replies, yeah. That's right, but the pellet gun quickly throws an arm around him, bringing him back to his senses. He says, okay, stop using your power on them. More importantly, Kyori Minamura interrupts him. It can't be helped if they lean towards attacking, right? Besides, some monsters from another world are immune to this kind of power. The pellet gun understands. So you're going to use your power this time. Kyori Minamura smiles, of course. The pellet gun reminds her. You failed last time. Did you think about whether they'll be summoned this time? Kyori Minamura answers casually. Of course. Hagen, who has been listening, grows more worried. The pellet gun thinks about his boss and says with ill intent, our boss doesn't understand the concept of limited power. Another life is going to be ruined because of you. Kyori Minamura cuts him off. Shut up, the pellet gun yells anyway. Meet me there after school tomorrow. Kyori Minamura waves as she leaves, saying, got it. At that moment, Hagen shivers. Oh, I just overheard something terrible. He thinks, what should I do? There's no way I can stop those classy guys alone. In the worst case scenario, their boss might show up. Hagen remembers Kuromura Takayuki and thinks, Takayuki probably won't help me, right? Even if he did, he wouldn't be able to handle them. He remembers the scene of the giant arm getting punched away. Hagen thinks worriedly, what about Hinata? Thinking about Asahi Hinata. He thinks hopefully, if it's him, he can do it. Yakuno Akane sits alone in the classroom, packing her bag. She's lost and thought my dad was a hero. Akane remembers sitting next to her dad on the sofa. Her father smiled brightly and said, I'm not a hero, she confused at the time said. That's not true, you're super strong. He closed his eyes and said to her, a hero fights without regard for himself, but I'm different as long as I can protect my family. That's enough. He smiled brightly and patted her head. A person with a strong spirit will gain power. Remember that, Akane. A massive fire engulfed many buildings. Akane's father is on a stretcher as doctors rush him inside emergency. We have to save him at all costs. Akane's mother cries, hugging her tightly. She lies down on her hospital bed as the doctor gives the update. His life is not in danger. But at that moment, Akane stands by the bed looking at her father with wide eyes. Snow begins to fall as she stands silently at the window. Akane's mother opens the door with a loud bang, making her flinch. She turns around and sees her mother lighting a cigarette. "Mom, you can't smoke here." Her mother coldly ignores her. "You didn't wake up again today, huh?" "No, Akane replay softly." Her mother angrily kicks the bed. "What's the point of protecting your family when you couldn't even protect yourself?" Akane struggles to restrain her mother yelling. "Stop it." Her mother angrily turns to her. "But it's true, right? The hospital fees are too high to ignore." She puts out the cigarette on the table. "When you graduate junior high, you'll have to start working." Then she turns and leaves the room, leaving Yakuno Akane with a heavy heart. She angrily clenches her clothes. "There's a way to curse my father." An image of a glowing snake with a blood-red heart appears in her mind. Somewhere in the world, there is a creature called the Crimson Serpent. It is said to cure many diseases. Akane sits next to her bed holding a colorful flyer, but it's so rare that no one sells it. "There is no other way but to find it myself." At the top of the flyer is written, "Valkyria National Academy Admission Guide, the only national warrior training school in the country." Akane thinks, and to do that, her face full of determination. "I came here with a purpose." And back in the present, after packing up, Akane wonders, "What am I doing?" She stands up and puts on her bag. "When I was placed in Class C, I thought about giving up." She remembers Asahi Hinata's determined look. "But if I try my best, will I become like him?" As soon as she opens the door, she bumps into Kyori Minamura, who says, "Oh, you're still here, Akane." Her hands are behind her back as if she's hiding something. Kyori, full of sinister intent, says, "Hey, I wanted to talk to you for a bit." Elsewhere, Hagen is following Asahi Hinata. "What should I do? Everyone has gone home already." I need to say something, but after thinking for a moment, he blames himself. "Why did I even get involved in this? It has nothing to do with me." Asahi Hinata approaches, making him flinch. "Do you need something?" he asks. He continues, "Takayuki isn't here." Hagani is flustered a well. He clenches his teeth, saying to himself, "This is my only chance to say something." But he clenches his fists and looks down. "How can I ask for help now? After all the trouble I caused. Now I'm asking for help." Asahi Hinata looks at him, but doesn't understand. He turns to leave. "If you don't need anything, I'm going." Hagani tries to call out, but still can't say anything. Finally, as he walks away, Hagani just stands there hesitating. Looking down, Gani sees Kyori Minamura pulling Akane by the arm. He has a strange feeling about her. There's something weird about her today. Was he influenced by her artifact? Still, Hagani shakes his head. "So what? It doesn't concern me." Suddenly he yells and runs. "Damn it!" Asahi Hinata turns back confused. In a dimly lit room, a group of people are gathered. Ishijima has his arm around a woman, saying, "All right. Are we sure about today's plan?" One of the guys replies, "Yeah." "Yes, of course." Ishijima seems doubtful. "Are you sure no mistakes like last time?" He continues, "I told you today, we also have Kaor with us, so there shouldn't be a problem." The guy says, "Definitely, you can trust me." Ishijima grins maliciously. "Yeah, we're making good profit thanks to her." Someone enters, causing everyone to turn. Kyori Minamura drags Yakuno Akane in, saying it's an honor to have your trust. Ishijima says, "You've arrived." She takes Akane's hand. "Sorry, everyone." When someone questions her, "Didn't you say you wouldn't use your item?" Kyori replies matter-of-factly, "That was the plan. Some things didn't go as I'd hoped." The woman who was sitting with Ishijima earlier approaches Akane. "Is this the girl you mentioned?" Ishijima. "She's too young," Ishijima answers. "Really, I think she's fine, even if she is still a little green." The woman glances at Ishijima. "Are you thinking of keeping her as your own?" He answers, "No matter how cute she is. It's a little too much since she's still so young." Lifting her chin, he smiles. "I'm just playing. I'll be passing her on to the boys later." With a face like that, this girl will definitely be a big hit. Kyori Minamura puts her arm around Akane from behind. "Perfect timing, Akane. You said you wanted this job for money, right?" Akane, who has no awareness, answers, "Yeah. I need money for my dad." Ishijima turns and smirks. "No matter how many times I see it, that artifact is still scary." She laughs insincerely. "Oh, it's nothing big," Ishijima says, trying to act all cute. Then he sighs. "Oh well." Ishijima realizes something and says angrily, "Be more careful, someone's watching you." Kyori Minamura suddenly turns around surprised. "How, really?" Hagen, hidden behind the wall, panics. "Oh no. They heard me. Why did I follow them? I can't handle someone that strong." He peeks out, assessing the situation. Should I run? Kaori Minamura laughs loudly. Oh, it's just Hagen. Ishijima asks someone you know. She's about to use her artifact to attack Hagen. He's a classmate, he's weak. It's nothing, Kaori Minamura assures him. You don't need to run, Hagen. Didn't you say you wanted to join our group? Hagen panics. No. I didn't say that. Kaori Minamura begins to hypnotize him. You did say it right. Hagen is charmed and loses consciousness. He has been hypnotized, yeah. Ishijima glances at him. It'll be a pain if he threatens to expose us later. Make him an accomplice to Kaori. Minamura smiles. Okay. She turns and orders Hagani. Help Akane take her clothes off. Hagani answers okay. One of the guys from the group starts the camera. Okay, then let's start filming. Hagani moves towards Yakuno Akane, his hands beginning to remove her clothes. I can't move, my body won't do what I want. Why does this always happen to me? He remembers being bullied by Kuromura, Takayuki, and his half-hearted sense of justice. Hagen also remembers when he used a chair to hit his classmate. Helpless, he thinks, I'm always on the side of the bad guys. Continuing to undress her, Hagen justifies himself. The reason why I didn't resist was because it was easier that way. I can always say that I had no choice. Then he remembers Asahi Hinata, his determined eyes, but that guy is always before he could finish what he was doing. Asahi Hinata descends from above. He kicks Agani directly in the face, immediately sending him down to the floor. His glasses fly off. Agana struggles to get up, confused. What was that? Kaori Minamura, panicking, tries to use her power. So you were here as well, Yakuno. Akane looks at his back from behind. In her vacant gaze, his strong back is still in front of her. Akane sees a blurry Asahi Hinata standing in front of her. She unconsciously says Hinata. He is now full of fury, standing in front of the group. Kaori, holding her magic orb, asks, why are you here? She looks at the figure in front of her, surprised. Hinata, Ishijima standing behind her, asks, who is he? Kaori replies with disdain. He's my classmate in Class A. The weakest one, Ishijima scoffs. The weakest one? What's someone like that doing here? Kaori quickly answers, who knows? I'm wondering the same thing. Ready to use her old trick. Kaori raises her magic orb, intending to hypnotize Hinata as she did Hagani. She smiles, sinisterly, temptation. But now that I'm here, I don't want to do anything to you, Hinata. You want to join our group too, right? She expects Hinata to quickly fall under her spell, but he simply bows his head. He remains calm as he asks, I'm going to ask you something. He questions, you and Akane are friends, right? Kaori cuts him off with another question. What if we're not? Hinata patiently continues. Then you also know about her family situation, right? Kaori laughs, smug. I know it very well. That's why I introduced her to this job. Aren't I nice at that moment? Again, weakly tries to get up. He stammered, trembling. Forget it. He jabbed a finger at Kaori. Akane refused this job, he blurted out, exposing her. But Kaori used her artifact to force her. Seeing her scheme unveiled, Kaori fumed inwardly. Damn it, looks like he got hit hard enough to snap out of it. Kaori glanced at Hinata, who remained unaffected by her hypnotic suggestion. But this guy, she wondered, how much longer until my artifact takes hold? Hagen struggled to his feet, adjusting his glasses as he eyed Hinata suspiciously. Why are you here? I didn't summon you, Hinata explained. You were about to ask for something, weren't you? Observing Hagen's pathetic state, Hinata continued, if I were Takayuki, perhaps I would have listened to your request, no matter how difficult it might be to voice. Hagen, deeply moved by these genuine words, a surge of unfamiliar emotion washes over him. As he speaks, the opposing group makes their move. Poof! The pellet gun user scoffs derisively. Playing hero, are we? Cosplaying righteousness. You've got it all wrong. You managed to slip away from us twice. But he transforms his hand into a pellet gun. With chilling confidence, he declares, this is your last stand. The past floods back into Hinata's mind. Akane's heartbreaking predicament. The accident that left her father bedridden. And her mother, unable to cope with the despair engulfing their hospital room. She cries out in anguish. What good are empty promises of family safety when you can't even protect yourself? Akane clutches her mother, desperately trying to restrain her. Stop it! Akane's mother snaps, her voice filled with fury. But what I'm saying is the truth, isn't it? The hospital bills are astronomical. Their plight is impossible to disregard. Extinguishing her cigarette, she commands, once you finish middle school, you'll need to contribute to the household expenses. Then she abruptly departs. Akane remains determined to find a cure for her father. Lost in thought, she contemplates, somewhere in this vast world, there exists a creature called the basilisk. Legend says its heart possesses the power to heal all ailments. A daunting task lies ahead for Akane. Exasperated, she realizes its rarity makes acquiring one nearly impossible. I have no other recourse but to embark on this quest myself. She clings to a single glimmer of hope. To obtain it, she must journey to the National Academy, the nation's sole institution for training warriors in service of the country. Meanwhile, the pellet gun user trains his weapon on Hinata. There won't be another opportunity. Hinata remains motionless, unresponsive. The projectile hurtles forward. Hinata simply raises an arm in defense, blocking the shot. The pellet ricochets harmlessly, leaving Hinata completely unscathed. Kyuri stares in disbelief, utterly astonished. She can't fathom what she just witnessed. Ishijima scowls, his amusement vanishing. The pellet gun user pales, consumed by fear. He can't accept reality, he stammers. Is this guy some kind of freak? I fire again, and he effortlessly deflects it once more. Are you an idiot? Ishijima snaps, his voice frigid. This isn't mere luck. Ishijima fixes his gaze on Hinata. This isn't simple. What kind of power does he possess? Kaori gasps, but I thought he was powerless. Ishijima counters cautiously. No artifact wielder is truly without ability. He's concealing something, Kaori. Refusing to accept her weakness against someone so seemingly insignificant. Kaori fumes internally. Why? Why doesn't my magic affect him? She aims her magic orb at Hinata again, desperate for a miracle, clinging to the hope that regardless of his strength, her power would eventually prevail. Just then, the control panel on Hinata's wrist illuminated. A message materialized. Willpower enhancement level 1 activate. Resisting unidentified mind control. It became clear that this ability had been shielding Hinata from Shiori's artifact's influence. Abruptly, a colossal bronze hand descended from behind Hinata, slamming towards him. Hinata leaped out of the way, narrowly avoiding the strike. The gigantic hand crashed into the earth, sending debris flying in every direction. The large man clicked his tongue in frustration. He had realized something after enduring numerous attacks. Hinata's anger finally ignited. Why are you all acting like this? He clenched his fists, his voice resolute. Power is not a weapon to inflict harm on others, he shouted, his words laced with reprimand. Artifacts are meant to safeguard everyone from the creatures from another dimension. Overhearing this, Ishijima couldn't suppress a smirk. Ha! His lackeys joined in the derisive laughter. Ha! This guy's a real comedian. Their mocking demeanor was unmistakable. Hinata is taken aback. Ishijima, rubbing his face, mutters, "You're incredibly naive about how the world really works." He scoffs. Only an elite few are selected for government-sponsored teams. Most can't even scrape by with their artifacts alone. Ishijima continues his condescending explanation. But these are the artifacts we poured our blood, sweat, and tears into acquiring, right? Isn't it a complete waste to not capitalize on them? Hinata reaches his breaking point. He undergoes a visible transformation, his artifacts erupting in a brilliant aura of light around him. If it's all about money, he counters, then glances pointedly at Akane, who's being exploited. His voice rings with accusation. Do you honestly believe it's justifiable to prey on those striving for a brighter future? Ishijima lets out a derisive laugh. His arrogance swells, spouting the classic villainous line. As long as I'm not the one suffering, everyone else is expendable. Do you honestly believe I'm the only one who operates this way? He places his hand on Kyuri's shoulder, using her as a living testament to his point. He brags, we're more than willing to sacrifice our companions for personal gain. Despite being suppressed by the artifact, Akane comprehends the unfolding situation. Devastated by her friend's treachery, tears well in her eyes. Ishijima sneers, a wise decision indeed. He laughs triumphantly. Toiling tirelessly without any guarantee of joining a team, that's something only fools would do. Hinata's face contorts with rage at this vile notion. He charges towards Ishijima, intent on teaching him a lesson. He throws a punch, but a colossal hand materializes from thin air, intercepting his attack. The large man says with glee, too bad. Ishijima scoffs. I thought you possessed some skill. Seems like that's all you've got. He looks at Hinata with disdain. Let me enlighten you as to why you're the prey in this world. It's because you're pathetically weak. Hinata, Trembling with fury, clenched his fists, marshaling his strength. He unleashed a ferocious punch at the colossal hand. In that instant, Hinata's inner rage ignited. Why do you people have to torment the weak to feel powerful? The more he dwelled on it, the more incensed he became. So many were struggling, just like him and Akane. Yet these guys acted as if they were cornered animals. Hinata was on the verge of exploding. He wouldn't endure this abuse any longer. Did they honestly believe they could exploit others simply because they were inferior? Hinata mustered his remaining power and lunged forward with a devastating blow. Don't underestimate me. The control panel displayed a notification. Your rage has triggered a reaction. Forced upgrade initiated. A tremendous surge of energy was charged, sending the gigantic hand flying backward. The brute, completely caught off guard by the unexpected attack, was hurled against the wall. The group was stunned by the sheer force. Hinata demanded confirmation. So, weakness is a sin, is that it? Refusing any compassion, he roared in rage. Then I'll return that very sentiment to you. A new mode engaged, Artifact Rage Armor. This empowered the user to amplify their strength through fury. His body blazed crimson as he issued a warning. I will become overwhelmingly powerful until filth like you vanishes. The activated Rage Armor bestowed Hinata with immense might. The energy emanating from him forced Ishijima and his cohorts to reconsider their underestimation. A startled Hagen observed the transformation. Ishijima suspected Coyote's artifact was at play. Is this how her power manifests? But then he sensed something was awry. No, that's not right. Witnessing Hinata's new form, Coyote beside him was blanched with terror. With speed too swift to track, Hinata materialized before Ishijima. Ishijima was stunned by his velocity. Fortunately, he narrowly evaded the lightning-quick assault. Even then, Ishijima couldn't fully evade the attack, a scratch appearing on his cheek. Infuriated, Ishijima retaliated with a swift kick aimed at Aura, but Hinata nimbly sidestepped the blow. Kyuri, clutching her artifact tightly, whispered in a frightened voice, "Suppression. He's still so powerful. How?" she wondered aloud. Ishijima was visibly taken aback. He realized he was being pushed to his absolute limit. Hinata's strength continued to escalate. He refused to accept that Hinata was superior, that he was being outmatched. It was simply inconceivable. He stooped down, snatched a water bottle at his feet, and declared, "Don't get cocky." He uncapped the bottle and doused his artifact with the water, uttering cryptically, "I may have quit, but I was once a Class B combatant." Water surged forth from the artifact. Ishijima announced smugly, "From the very beginning, the gap between our abilities was insurmountable." He lashes out, unleashing a trio of water blasts toward Hinata. Hinata effortlessly deflects the incoming attacks. Ishijima starts to panic. Under normal conditions, his hand would have been shattered. He's no longer the picture of composure he once was. Furthermore, his movements have become significantly more fluid. What in the world is going on, he wonders. Despite his confusion, he seizes on Hinata's perceived weakness and declares confidently, "But you lack experience." He commands the water from the earth below, forcing it to erupt from beneath Hinata's feet. Caught completely off guard by this sudden maneuver, Hinata is momentarily stunned. The water, serpentine in its movement, swiftly ensnares Hinata's body. Ishijima boasts, "This is the power of binding water." Having successfully trapped his opponent, he bombards Hinata with a barrage of water projectiles, shouting, "Think carefully." A direct hit. Hinata coughs, blood and agony welling up. Ishijima sneers. "Feels like being crushed by a steel beam, doesn't it? Right?" He intensifies the pressure, channeling more water toward his artifact. He smugly declared, "My artifact is perfectly suited for dealing with scum like you. Just a splash of water is all I need to unleash its full potential." Having fully powered his artifact, he channeled the water into a devastating attack. "You picked the wrong fight," he sneered. Then, he launched a torrent of water at Hinata. Trapped and immobilized, Hinata had no way to evade the onslaught. But just then, something zipped through the air, deflecting Ishijima's assault. Ishijima spun around and realized, "You've come to your senses." Akane, brandishing the smoking gun, declared forcefully, "Did you really think you could control me indefinitely?" "You imbecile," she added. Simultaneously, she turned to Hagani, offering a sheepish apology. "I'm sorry, I acted impulsively without thinking. You were the one who helped me snap out of it, right?" She recalled striking him earlier. Kyuri, observing Akane's recovery, exclaimed in astonishment, "Huh?" She attempts to utilize her artifact once again, aiming to manipulate Akane. But Akane, refusing to provide Kaori with an opening, launches a preemptive strike. The gunshot sends Kaori's magical orb hurtling through the air. Confused, Akane questions Kaori. Why would you do this? Kaori unleashes a cruel laugh and retorts. Isn't it apparent? It's because I crave wealth. Akane is stunned by this blunt response. Kaori's countenance grows menacing. What's with that bewildered look? She sneers. Pushed to her breaking point, she starts to taunt Akane relentlessly. Your artifact is nothing more than worthless junk. You should be expressing gratitude towards me. She bursts into a fit of cackling laughter, while Akane trembles with unrestrained fury. Her grip on the gun tightens, her hand quivering uncontrollably. Abruptly, a gunshot rings out from an unseen location, striking Akane. The shooter, wielding a pellet gun, declares brazenly, "This is the penalty for defying Class A." Hinata remains ensnared, and Akane has now fallen victim to an attack. Both appear utterly incapable of retaliating. Ishijima strides toward Hinata, declaring, "It's over." He leers, a sinister grin spreading across his face. "Don't you worry," he sneers. "I'll ensure your mind is wiped clean." He pivots to Kyori, commending her. "If it weren't for you, Kyori, things could have escalated significantly." Akane's voice, fragile and trembling, softly calls out, "Hinata." She struggles to sit up, her body weak. She's unbelievably composed. "Damn, I can't even avenge myself. Just like they said, I'm pathetic." Suddenly, her voice rings out, filled with newfound determination and confidence. "From this moment forward, I'll give it my all. I will undoubtedly become stronger than I am now." She pushes herself to stand, every ounce of strength mustered. Whispering a barely audible incantation, she grips her artifact tightly. She discharges her weapon. Ishijima effortlessly deflects the bullet with his arm. Thanks to her audacious attack, Hinata's restraints abruptly vanish. Ishijima is stunned. "What?" Akane offers a faint smile. "Now, can I count on you?" Hinata smiles back, a subtle yet powerful grin. He is imbued with an impressive force. With unwavering determination, he retorts, "Leave it to me." Ishijima sneers. "Are you an idiot? If I could ensnare you once, I can do it again." He replicates his tactic, conjuring water to immobilize Hinata. In that instant, Hinata utters a single word, retribution. With a surge of power, he effortlessly shatters the watery bonds. Ishijima is stunned. "Huh?" Hinata lowers his head, his voice dripping with intensity. "I've heard every word you've spewed about how we're all garbage, and that Class E is nothing but a collection of worthless individuals." Under Hinata's relentless assault, Ishijima cries out in panic. "What is this?" Hinata calmly states, "Even if we're at the bottom of the barrel, we can still strive to rise above." Ishijima senses a shift in Hinata's attacks, a distinct difference. Stepping on the discarded water bottle, he understands his own attacks are futile. Why aren't they working? He's quickly forced into a corner. Hinata, consumed by fury, towers over him. Showing no mercy, he addresses Ishijima. "You boasted about showing the trash what true power looks like, didn't you?" Panic grips Ishijima. Trapped and with no escape route in sight, aside. In a flash of movement, Hinata slams Ishijima to the ground, leaving the onlookers in stunned silence. Hikari watches in utter shock. Ishijima looks up in sheer terror, seeing Hinata poised to strike again. Witnessing Asahi and Hinata's ferocious display, Yakuno Akane shouts, "Hinata!" He composes himself and rises to his feet. Ishijima breathes a sigh of relief, having narrowly avoided the pellet gun aimed at him from behind. In an attempt to de-escalate the situation, he says, "Senpai, don't mess around." Then, abruptly shifting his demeanor, he raises his weapon. "Damn you, Asahi!" Hinata is taken aback. The pellet gun discharges at him. But with a swift motion, he raises a hand and deflects it. Hinata strides angrily toward the stunned shooter. Terror grips him. He frantically thinks, this is just a coincidence, right? His blood runs cold as Hinata seizes him by the collar, hoisting him into the air. Hinata's voice drips with fury as he snarls, "Don't you dare mess with us again." He bellows in desperation, "I don't have time for games." The pellet gun user stammers, squeezing his eyes shut in terror. I understand. Hinata." He manages to choke out. Hearing his name, Hinata instantly releases him. The pellet gun clatters to the floor. Stumbling back, he loses his balance, completely disregarding Ishijima, who lies motionless, and the discarded pellet gun. He trembles uncontrollably, consumed by fear. Asahi Hinata turns and walks away without a backward glance. Hikari, paralyzed with fright, watches him pass. Yakuno, Akane, and Hagane, waiting anxiously outside, exhale in relief. She recalls a comforting memory of her father patting her head and saying, "A person with unwavering determination possesses immense power." Akane, always remember that. Yakuno Akane gazes up at him, visibly touched. Then, a radiant smile blossoms on her face as she high-fives Sahi Hinata. Outside, a figure wearing headphones stands near the entrance, engaged in a phone conversation. "The outcome is astonishing," he reports. "What course of action do you intend to take next? What are your subsequent plans?" Principal Tsushima Atsushi sits in his office, hands steepled on his desk, his fingers interlaced before him. His gaze is fixed on a tablet. Observing the events unfolding on the screen, he declares sternly, "Those who transgress the school's regulations have forfeited their right to remain. Proceed as you customarily do." "Understood," the voice on the other end responds. The principal remains seated, lost in contemplation. He had been scrutinizing those disruptive students within the school, and yet, he muses, the results surpassed my expectations. His eyes return to the students displayed on the screen. "I eagerly await the next evaluation," he mused. Warm sunlight bathed the school in a golden glow. Inside, a throng of students huddled around the bulletin board. A stark notice, titled Expulsion Notice, dominated the board. "Effective immediately, the following students are expelled," it declared. 1. Koichi Tanuma. 2. Tsuneyashi Diamond. 3. Tamahara Suga. 4. Ikaori Minamura. Expelled students are forbidden from entering Valkyria school grounds. Any attempt to trespass will result in school officials reporting the unlawful intrusion to the authorities. Yakuno Akane, standing behind him, inquired timidly, "Did you report them?" He responded flatly, "No. Why would I? They've always been this way. Perhaps they were already under scrutiny." She continued, engaging him in conversation. As they spoke, two of their friends approached. "Aside from Kyori," she whispered, "the others have a notorious reputation at school." Kuramura Takayuki grumbled loudly. "What's with all the commotion?" Hagen responded awkwardly, who knows?" He turned to leave, muttering, "How dull. I'm starving. Let's head to the cafeteria." Hagen turned and started walking, and Kuramura followed. "All right," Asahi Hinata said to Yaku Akane. "No, Akane, you can go talk to him if you'd like." She replied, "He probably has his reasons. Yesterday, when I expressed my gratitude," she recalled Hagen saying, "I didn't do anything. He simply stated he hadn't done anything and then walked away." He glanced back at her and said, "I get it." Asahi Hinata walked off, leaving Yakuno Akane staring after him in surprise. "Where are you going?" He turned around and waited for her. "To the cafeteria. It's lunchtime." She cheerfully followed him. "Hold on," Asahi Hinata asked, perplexed. "Why are you following me? You brought your own lunch, didn't you?" This makes her blush. Yakuno Akane brightens up, a sudden enthusiasm in her voice. "Let's eat together. Neither of us has any friends anyway," she suggests. Asahi Hinata responds with surprise. "Oh, okay." The two share their lunch on a bench beneath a tree in the courtyard. Yakuno Akane drops a morsel of food, then inquires, "Say, about artifacts that boost your power. Don't they only amplify abilities you already possess?" He answers between bites of his bread. "Well, yeah, I need to have the ability first, right?" She turns to him, a thoughtful expression on her face. "Maybe you already do have one, but you just haven't realized it yet." He dismisses the idea. "No way." Asahi Hinata contemplates. "I was so caught up in the fight yesterday, I completely forgot to look. Now that I've unlocked the new armor, the upgrade options should have refreshed too." He visualizes the system interface displaying his updated stats. Asterisk on said physique skill, asterisk. Rage fist. He pondered, his thoughts consumed by offensive strategies. "This rage armor is exposing the flaws in my attack capabilities," he mused. Visions of previous armors materialized before him. Intense emotions seemed to be the catalyst for upgrades, he deduced. "I'm uncertain about the next requirements," he admitted. "But if this pattern persists, the armor will continue its evolution." Asahi Hinata clenched the wrapper tightly in his fist. "I can still grow stronger," he resolved. Yakuno Akane set down her chopsticks and her meal. "Hinata," she addressed him. She stood, determination etched on her face. "Let me train alongside you," she proposed, her expression falling as she recalled the pellet gun incident. "I probably won't reach your level immediately," she confessed, "but I can at least surpass that guy." She lowered her head, a blush creeping onto her cheeks. "I'm still working on it, but—" Asahi Hinata interjected. "I understand." Yakuno Akane looked up, her embarrassment evident. He continued, "You utilize your artifact effectively. Your physical prowess complements its abilities, its traits and efficacy, specifically." He trailed off. A vision of her wounded in battle briefly crosses his mind. "The fact that your injuries were minor after that assault is a testament to your strength." Yakuno Akane. Akane blushes crimson. She's flustered by his acknowledgement of her abilities. "Even so," she exclaims joyfully, "I still have much to learn." Yakuno Akane extends her hand towards him. "As promised, I will become even more powerful." Asahi Hinata listens attentively as she speaks, hanging on to her every word. She beams radiantly. "Thank you for your assistance yesterday." He returns her smile, and their hands clasp together. Asahi Hinata affirms, "Yeah." From a vantage point above, someone observes the entire scene unfold. Minae Shizuka looks down with a scornful expression. Those pathetic weaklings seem to have taken a liking to each other. She pivots to address someone beside her. "Have you given it any thought?" Minae Shizuku, flanked by her clique, fixed the person facing them with a condescending smirk. "Concerning the reevaluation exam, aligning yourself with our group would be highly advantageous." Shiro Hanisachi curtly replied, "I refuse to listen to this." As they turned to depart, Minae Shizuku made one last attempt to persuade her. "If you change your mind," she offered, "let me know. There's still time." Shiro Hanisachi remained impassive, silently observing their exit. She mused on the trio's notorious reputations, earned through their association with the expelled students. Shiro Hanisachi pondered. Surely Shizuku must be aware of this as well. Could she truly be indifferent to a person's identity, prioritizing strength above all else? Her gaze drifted downwards, settling on Sahi Hinata and Yakuno Akane, seated on a nearby bench. They shared laughter and food, their intimacy palpable. Her thoughts returned to Minae Shizuku, and she murmured to herself, "Shizuku, this is far too reckless." The sky was a brilliant blue, bathed in sunshine. A sudden clamor shattered the serenity. A teacher's voice boomed amidst a group of training students. "First, you must hone your bodies." The man addressing the students is Class E's homeroom instructor, Takashima Gonzo. He proceeds, stating, "There are numerous approaches to enhance your abilities and artifacts, but bolstering your physical prowess will subsequently elevate other facets as well." As the students diligently train, lifting weights to the brink of collapse, he motivates them. Class E is currently trailing behind the other classes, but an opportunity still remains. Observing students engage in martial arts practice, delivering punches and kicks, Takashima Gonzo exclaims, "Demonstrate that the prior class ranking was erroneous. Unleash your latent potential." Asahi Hinata listens intently, his fists clenched resolutely. Behind him, Kuromura Takayuki wipes away perspiration, glaring at Asahi with resentment. Within the classroom, the teacher stands at the lectern and commences his proclamation. "The reevaluation examination will be administered shortly." Yakuno Akane listens with apprehension as he elaborates. "If you fail to turn the tables this time," Asahi, Hinata, and the neighboring students wore grim expressions, "you'll have zero chance of escaping Class E." Brimming with confidence, Takashima Gonzo pumped his fist. "But don't lose heart just because your artifact levels are low." He launched into an analysis. This exam isn't solely dependent on artifact abilities. Physical prowess, length, and analytical skills are also crucial. Then his expression turned serious. "This year, group work is mandatory." Kuromura Takayuki, slouched in the back of the classroom, blurted out, Group work? Seriously?" Whispers rippled through the room. "Wait, what does that even mean?" A student near the front anxiously inquired. "How are we supposed to form these groups?" He scribbled 2 to 5 members on the board and circled it. "A maximum of 5 people per group." "And the members?" Takashima Gonzo paused, leaving the students in suspense. "You will decide amongst yourselves, regardless of class or grade level." Kuromura Takayuki gritted his teeth in frustration. "You're joking, right?" he exclaimed. "Who would team up with Class C students?" Takashima Gonzo remained unperturbed. "Team formation," he responded swiftly, "is also part of the assessment. The Academy's objective is to endorse the most exceptional combatants to government-sponsored squads. To secure a position on a team, Collaborative synergy among members is paramount. He gestures skyward. Class 8 isn't burdened with high expectations. If you aspire to ascend from this class, diligence is non-negotiable. He's infuriated. Everything crumbled because I was relegated to Class C. Kuromura Takayuki then fixes a furious glare upon Asahi Hinata, the perceived source of his troubles. As classes conclude, students disperse in clusters, heading home. Chatter fills the air. Yakuno Akane inquires, wide-eyed, "So, what's your next move?" Asahi Hinata, unwrapping a piece of bread, looks at her. "What do you mean, do what?" She states plainly. "Recruit members for the exam group. Ideally, 2 vanguards and 2 rearguards." As they converse, Kuromura Takayuki strides towards them and calls out, "Hey!" Asahi Hinata looked up in surprise. "Who would be dumb enough," he sneered, "to team up with the class's biggest loser?" This comment made Higane, standing beside him, avert his gaze in embarrassment. Yakuno Akane glared at him. "What do you want?" Kuromura Takayuki replied, as he roughly grabbed Asahi Hinata's collar. "You've gotten a little too big for your britches lately." A smug expression spread across his face as he ordered Asahi Hinata, "Buy me lunch." "Got it." Hinata visibly cringed at the blatant display of dominance. Unable to tolerate the scene any longer, Yakuno Akane retorted angrily, "Go buy it yourself." Kuromura Takayuki's face contorted in anger. "What did you say?" He released Hinata, fixed his gaze on her, and questioned, "You've been spending a lot of time with him recently. I heard Kaori got expelled. Are you seriously thinking about joining his group?" Yakuno Akane answers without a moment's hesitation, "Yes, that's the plan." Asahi Hinata turns his head, his gaze fixed on her. Her face now radiates confidence. "He's vastly superior to you. You completely lack teamwork skills." Kuromura. Takayuki's face contorts in rage, veins bulging at her words. Infuriated, he demands, "What did you just say?" Yakuno Akane turns to Hagen, inquiring, "You agree, don't you, Hagen?" Her question throws Hagen into a panic. He shoots a menacing glare at Hagen. "You agree too, you mutt?" Hagen stammers nervously, unable to meet his gaze. He avoids eye contact. "No way." Asahi Hinata leans back nonchalantly, while Yakuno Akane takes a sip of her drink. Listening intently, "I'll join Takayuki's group. It's the more logical choice." She sets down her juice box. "Oh, is that so?" Kuromura Takayuki declares proudly. "Exactly." He glares at Higane, but remains silent. Yakuno Akane snaps her lunchbox shut. "Then you two should strategize for the upcoming exam. I haven't got all day to entertain your squabble." She departs, calling over her shoulder, "Let's relocate, Hinata." He rises and trails behind her. "All right." The pair strolls side by side down the school hallway. Yakuno Akane sighs ruefully. "It seems we can't convince Higane to join us." She continues chattering without pause. Having another member would be beneficial. Trailing behind, he inquires, "Are you comfortable partnering with me?" Yakuno Akane glances at him, slightly irritated by his question. "What? Of course. You should have more faith in your own capabilities." Then, she beams and playfully punches his chest. "Others might still underestimate you, though." He can't help but smile back at Yakumo Akane. From a distance, Shiro Hanisachi overhears his words. She observes the pair for a brief moment. A pensive expression crosses Shiro Hanisachi's face. Her gaze shifts to Asahi Hinata. She studies him, sensing a distinct change in his demeanor. A smile forms on her lips. "This guy's intriguing," she thinks. Outside Class 1A's classroom, a voice roars, "You bastard Kuromura!" Takayuki violently kicks the chairs in front of him. "How dare he belittle me again?" he fumes. Someone beside him attempts to pacify him. "Takayuki, please calm down." He hangs his head, his fists clenched, and sighs deeply. Then, Kuromura Takayuki calls out, "Hagen!" A fearful voice responds, "Why yes. Many were gravely injured, even killed, in the last exam, correct?" Hagen replies, terrified, "Yes." Kuromura Takayuki suddenly lets out a sinister laugh. Flashbacks of the brutal previous exam appear. The re-evaluation exam takes place in a D-rank dungeon, simulating a real-life combat scenario. Therefore, should a mishap occur, it would be considered a justifiable outcome. Kuromura Takayuki, perched on a desk, muses aloud. But the truth is, It appears most of these accidents were deliberately orchestrated. Hagen recoils in shock and fear, gripping his desk tightly. Perhaps there will be more this year. He stammers. A sinister expression flickers across Kuromura Takayuki's face, hinting at impending misfortune. Someone sits hunched over a computer, fingers flying across the keyboard. With a forceful keystroke, the screen displays a message. By the way, Valkyria has her reevaluation next week. A student, en route home, spots the message. Chicken, he chuckles. Thanks for your service to the country, haha. Another student chimes in. Is that guy even still attending school? A third student inquires. Who are you guys talking about? Seated on a park bench, another individual observes the online chatter. The student remarks, that's the guy who accidentally streamed naked, right? An elderly gentleman gasps in recognition. Ah, that's right. Huh. A businessman chimes in, and a giraffe remarks, so he's still around, huh? A husky questions, how do you know? The giraffe responds, the unofficial student roster has already been leaked. A student appears perplexed. What do you mean unofficial? Someone else examines the list the giraffe mentioned. Every year during the reevaluation exam, they explain, clandestine gambling rings operate. The husky is baffled. What kind of gambling? On who achieves the top scores? The screen displays, Minaso Shizuku, 10,000 current odds, 1.8x bet. Shirahana Sachi, 10,000 current odds, 1.8x bet. A lion inquires, who are the frontrunners? The giraffe instantly replies, the top contenders are Shizuku and Sachi. Someone mentioned, what about the guy with that broadcasting mishap? They scrolled to the very bottom of the list. Aoyama Chihiro, current odds, 52 to 1. Asahi Hinata, current odds, 137 to 1. The giraffe scoffed. Wow, he's spectacularly at the bottom, huh? Asahi Hinata was training alone in a dense forest, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Suddenly, an enormous bear with razor-sharp claws materialized behind him, letting out a deafening roar. Jirrrrrrrr. His expression hardened as he swiftly turned. Asahi Hinata executed a spinning kick, connecting squarely with the bear's neck. With a single, devastating blow, the bear crumpled to the ground. Asahi Hinata sighed, just as I expected. He contemplated the various armors. Resilient armor for enhanced durability. Rage armor for amplified power. I'm growing stronger just by equipping these. He glanced at his system display. But the rage armor consumes an exorbitant amount of energy. It seems my stamina is rapidly depleting. The system displayed, unable to utilize rage armor. Strength, 39/60ths. Durability, 45/60 intelligence. 0 to 0, agility. 18 to 20, penalty. Stamina continuously depletes while equipped with this armor. Asahi Hinata activates a button on his armor. He switches to a different set. To utilize this armor effectively, I need to become stronger. He equips a yellow armor set. For now, I'll utilize the resilient armor. Yakuno Akane approaches from behind, calling out to Hinata. He turns around, chiding her. You're late, she explains. The tutoring session ran over. Yakuno Akane sighs. It's odd being in a military academy and still needing academic tutoring. He offers a reassuring smile. But you're still a high school student after all? Yakuno Akane inquires. By the way, you've never needed tutoring, have you, Hinata? He nonchalantly closes his eyes. Never. His response leaves her visibly annoyed. Why not? Asahi Hinata responds hesitantly. Why do you ask? He then hangs his head dejectedly, falling silent. Memories of his challenging past flash through his mind. I hear training alone isn't sufficient. Well, Asahi Hinata begins. I review the material a bit before sleep. A pleased smile spreads across Yakuno Akane's face. You're truly diligent, Hinata. She then hoists her 6-barrel cannon. All right, let's give it our all today as well. The reevaluation is fast approaching. Asahi Hinata nods in concurrence. Indeed. A sudden rustle erupts from behind a nearby tree. He cautiously registers the sound and swiftly whirls around. Asahi Hinata abruptly throws his arm around Yakuno Akane, startling her as he lifts her into the air. They narrowly evade an assailant's attack. Both land safely on the ground. Asahi Hinata instantly assumes a defensive posture. Yakuno Akane is bewildered. What's happening? An individual armed with a weapon advances. Shiro Hanisachi remarks nonchalantly. You've undergone a complete transformation, haven't you? She glances at Asahi Hinata and Yakuno Akane, someone I wouldn't have even noticed before. While she's speaking earnestly, Yakuno Akane interjects. I know who you are, Shiro Hanisachi. There's a rumor circulating that you're as formidable as Shizuku from Class A. But Disregarding Yakuno Akane, she reflects to herself, gazing back. We've never even spoken. A perplexed Asahi Hinata inquires. Shizuku. Then, Shiro Hanisachi abruptly declares. But lately, Shizuku has been behaving rather peculiarly. She brandishes her weapon. Shiro Hanisachi lunges towards him, shouting, I'll put you to the test. Asahi Hinata clenches his teeth and evades the attack. Taken aback, he seizes Shiro Hanisachi's weapon. He concentrates his power, then expends all his force to hurl her a considerable distance. Shiro Hanisachi twirled in midair. Manipulating her weapon with practiced ease, she unleashed a torrent of energy, then seized her weapon and plunged downwards in a swift attack. A vibrant purple beam slammed into the earth, erupting in a colossal explosion. Yakuno Akane cried out in alarm. Hinata, from within the billowing smoke. As the smoke cleared, Shiro Hanisachi lunged at him, weapon brandished. Caught off guard, Asahi Hinata was unable to evade the onslaught. He threw up his arms in defense. Asahi Hinata retaliated with a counterattack, taking Shiro Hanisachi by surprise. A satisfied smirk spread across her face as she swung her weapon once more. Shiro Hanisachi planted her foot firmly, poised for her next strike. Her weapon whirled like a cyclone, gathering momentum as it hurtled towards him. It halted abruptly just before impacting Asahi Hinata. He appeared slightly unnerved. Her smile remained unwavering. You've truly changed, Shiro Hanisachi declared with a hint of pride. Or were you concealing your abilities? Asahi Hinata inquired wearily. Have you grown stronger? What do you want? She simply offers him a smile. Shiro Hanisachi then declares, everyone's vying to be my partner for the reevaluation exam, but if I must collaborate with someone, I'd rather select someone intriguing. She extends her hand. You seem interesting. Shiro Hanisachi beams brightly. Want to join forces with me? Asahi Hinata responds coolly. Okay. Shiro Hanisachi's smile radiates, but instantly vanishes. A bewildered expression crosses her face. Huh? Shiro Hanisachi recoils, stunned. Huh? What? She asks. Huh? What? A polite smile returns to her lips. Did I mishear? You want to partner with us? Asahi Hinata replies. Yep. Shiro Hanisachi's mouth drops open in a flustered pout, her cheeks puffing out in embarrassment. Then she exclaims, Why would I? He remains unperturbed. I don't understand why you would suddenly lash out at me and then anticipate collaboration from us. He continued, his voice composed. Achieving a high score through external assistance is meaningless. Partnering with you will undoubtedly secure me a higher class ranking than my current standing. Shiro Hanisachi was visibly irked by his statement. Asahi Hinata appeared disheartened by the isolation, yet countered. But then my own capabilities will go unrecognized. She listened attentively as he elaborated. Wouldn't everyone criticize and resent me for exploiting you? Asahi Hinata then resolutely raised his hand, declaring, I have my own motivations for joining this association. He spoke with conviction to Shiro Hanisachi, then averted his gaze. My own competence must be acknowledged. Asahi Hinata fixed a determined look upon her. Comprehension slowly dawned on Shiro Hanisachi. She closed her eyes, a satisfied smile gracing her lips. Shiro Hanisachi then turned and departed. You're quite intriguing, she remarked, turning to wave farewell. Hurry up and reach the summit, all right? I'll be anticipating your arrival. Night slowly descended. Asahi Hinata and Yakuno Akane observed Shiro Hanisachi's lone figure receding into the distance. After she had vanished from sight, Yakuno Akane turned and chided him disapprovingly. What a missed opportunity. You should have accepted her offer to collaborate. He appeared bewildered. Were you even paying attention to me? Asahi Hinata then elaborated further. Besides, she doesn't genuinely care about you. She projects an aura of indifference towards everyone. She's not interested in teamwork. Yakuno Akane concurred with a nod. I understand, he responded, turning away. If that's the situation, then there's no use in anticipating any partnership. We're better off striving for high scores on our own. Just the two of us, he added, causing Yakuno Akane to gaze after him. A delicate blush creeping onto her cheeks. She shyly murmured, Well, if that's how it is, then so be it, she agreed, a cheerful smile gracing her face as she trailed behind him. Asahi Hinata pondered deeply. So, that's the prowess of Class A's top student. He visualized Shiro Hanisachi's form. Lichtning fast reflexes. Exceptional strength, flawless in every aspect. Then, he replayed their recent encounter in his mind. She had clearly held back, despite him facing her with augmented armor. Dejected, Asai Hinata hung his head. I'm still miles away. He examined his own armor. Current version check. Unwavering upgrade list. He murmured. And here I was, getting cocky about my measly progress. He stared blankly at the data display. At this rate, I'll never reach your level. I need to refine the upgrade list even further. From above, Asai Hinata noticed something unexpected. Huh? What's this? The screen read, you have been granted an audience with Bosom, the enigmatic Kansai supernatural entity, within the imposing strategic headquarters building. Deep inside, a routine Alliance Association meeting was underway. High-ranking officials convened around a large circular table. Defense Minister Hagen Rinpei, examining the data displayed on a screen, initiated the discussion. Next on our agenda is the matter of the ongoing investigation into the origin of the dimensional rifts. Regrettably, we haven't uncovered any new leads. The leader of the Phoenix Rank S Association, Kagura Kinji, leaned back in his chair, listening intently. Beside him, the head of the Deldora Rank S Association, Sherry Truman, sat with her hands clasped on her lap, equally absorbed in the conversation. He proceeded, regarding those consistently traversing the portals. He directed his gaze towards the head of the Victor Rank S Association, Shio Oge, and inquired, have you ascertained anything new? Kagura Kinji appeared rather flippant. It's all quite unclear. We're still diligently working to seal the portals. Shio Oge chimed in. If we had any information, we would have reported it immediately. Sherry Truman concurred. The same applies to us. He asserted his viewpoint confidently. Everyone's in the dark, aren't they? Perhaps they know something, but are remaining silent. If there's truly nothing to be done, wouldn't that be incredibly problematic? Sherry Truman interjected, don't associate me with your ill. He refused to be outdone. Is that so? Hagen Rimp felt compelled to intercede. He addressed Kureha sternly. Have you uncovered anything in the past 6 months? He folded his arms and responded. Well, regarding that matter, the leader of the Heaven's Grace Ranks Association, KK, and Kureha's eyes widened as she spoke. I have a hunch. The distance between the portals seems to be shrinking. A heavy silence fell over the group. Lost in their own thoughts, Kagura Kinji rested his chin in his hand, contemplative. Sherry Truman cast a quick glance around the room. Shio Oge looked away, momentarily lost in thought. We can still manage, she mused, but then a darker thought surfaced. But what if we can't? The same grim scenario played out in each of their minds. Thousands of monsters, swarming humanity. Hagen Orempi's face fell, despair creeping in once more. That catastrophe. It will happen again, won't it? Kikiai and Kureha, seated beside him, added quietly. And the monsters, they're growing stronger with each passing day. If another disaster strikes, the devastation will be far worse than anything we've seen before. Hagen Rinpei leaned forward, his expression grave. We need to devise a countermeasure, and quickly. Kagura Genji adjusted his spectacles. To accomplish that, we require exceptional individuals. Hagen Rinpei interjected. Precisely. How is the successor training progressing? Valkyria Academy's principal, Tsushima Atsushi, declared confidently. We have several gifted students exhibiting remarkable development. He beamed. We will soon conduct a reassessment. Upon hearing this, Sherry Truman rested her chin expectantly. Oh, that sounds encouraging. Kagura Genji once again assumed an air of authority. Are there any particular students we should monitor? He responded, affirmative, there are a few. He reminisced. Among the first-year students, Minesa Shizuku and Shiro Hanisachi demonstrate immense potential. He elaborated. Their attacks possess exceptional finesse, masterfully wielding the life force of their divine weapons. Shizuku commands Reunioner, a divine weapon capable of unleashing a devastating burst of energy. Sachi, observing the display, possessed the legendary Gi-Bolt. Intrigued, Shiogai remarked. So, both wield divine weapons with immense destructive potential. Sherry Truman chuckled softly. This Shizuka girl could prove valuable to our organization. Kagura Kinji spoke coldly. Is there anyone else noteworthy? Tsushima Atsushi hesitated momentarily. There's one more, but I prefer everyone witness them firsthand, he stated, resting his chin thoughtfully. At the reevaluation, a successor with exceptional defensive abilities would be a significant asset. Seemingly dissenting, someone inquired, why is that? He elaborated. That position has remained vacant for a considerable period. Having concluded his explanation, Kagura Kinji lowered his head, a menacing expression forming. Now that you mention it, The child of the one who abandoned that post attends your school, correct? Asahi Hinata. Is he still enrolled? Sherry Truman gasped in astonishment. Asahi, Hinata, Kika, and Korea's memories were jogged. Are you referring to that child who always ran around naked? She also suddenly remembered. He's the one possessing a divine weapon, but incapable of wielding any weapon. The principal beamed. He remains our student. He leaned back in his chair, a frown creasing his brow. I simply can't comprehend it. He should have grasped the futility of his divine weapon by now, shouldn't he? Is he obstinate or merely foolish to continue clinging to it? Tsushima Atsushi spoke up in his defense. Perhaps there's more to it than meets the eye. He shot a perplexed glare at him before turning back to the screen. A proud grin spread across his face. Surprisingly, that young man, Asahi Hinata and Yakuno Akane, have been training together diligently. He might just blossom into something exceptional. It was the day of the reevaluation. Fireworks illuminated the night sky as crowds milled about excitedly. A reporter announced, "Behold this spectacle. Unlike a typical school function, this is incredibly intense." All eyes were fixated on the dimensional gateway, fingers pointing and whispers filling the air. This year, Valkyria Academy's reassessment will also occur, thanks to the unexpected emergence of a rank D dimensional rift. A multitude of people had congregated, bustling about the event grounds. Sherry Truman stood above, gazing down in stunned silence. She addressed the principal. Quite the lively atmosphere this year. It's astonishing to witness such enthusiasm for an examination notorious for inflicting serious harm. Each year, students could be seen laughing and bantering, snacks in hand. Tsushima Atsushi, with hands clasped, remarked, "We are living in an age saturated with grim tidings, after all. Perhaps everyone requires a respite, a change of pace." She responded with apparent indifference. "Is that so?" He turned and offered her a smile. "Incidentally, thank you for providing the security personnel." Sherry Truman brushed it off. "No thanks are necessary," she stated. "Cultivating the next generation is the association's responsibility." Her gaze then shifted downwards. "Isn't that Minasai Shizuku?" she inquired. "And is that the young man over there?" Her words seemed to perplex the principal. "I'm deeply indebted, and so is the individual beside her." "How can you tell?" he questioned. The two below exuded an aura of aloofness, clearly discouraging any interaction. Sherry Truman adopted an enigmatic air. "Believe it or not," she began, "I lead an organization. I possess a keen eye for these things." She then observed students below enjoying bread. Others clutched plush toys affectionately. Meanwhile, Shiro Hanisachi was savoring snacks from a vendor. The rapid footfalls of someone approaching. Is there a child worth keeping an eye on? It was Sai Hinata and Yakuno Akane, savoring lollipops. Within a melancholy garden, beneath an overcast sky and trees draped in somber hues. Before a menacing D-rank portal, a student stood trembling, clutching a sword. "Hey!" A news feed materialized. A magnifying glass icon declared, "Has it already begun?" A koala avatar responded, "The first group started 40 minutes ago." A joyous cup at it. "It's that time of year again." A cow chimed in, "I took the day off just for this." A girl exclaimed excitedly, "I want to witness it firsthand." A monster seized a student, letting out a menacing growl. The student's friend shrieked in terror. The monster lifted its hand to strike her down. Tears streamed down her face, but nothing occurred. The female student cautiously opened her eyes. The teachers had shed their frightening costumes. Disappointingly, one stated, "You should stop here." He gently grasped her hand. "I'll guide you to the exit." "Follow me," he instructed the student. Tears still welling up, she responded apathetically. Yes, boomed a voice from a large screen. The reporter continued his commentary. "Are you enjoying the spectacle?" A chicken confessed. "My heart is racing," a rock creature exclaimed. As one would anticipate from an S-rank association, the teachers hoisted the unconscious students onto their shoulders, the young woman walking amidst them. The reporter continued, "Deldora never fails to impress." The area was swiftly secured, recording drones buzzing overhead. They worked tirelessly, ensuring the examination's safety. Two teachers beamed and waved at the camera. A salmon creature remarked, "I eagerly await the student's rescue." A key creature retorted, "The world is truly pitiful, isn't it?" A husky creature materialized, yet their courage to enter the portal is commendable. A lion creature nodded in agreement. "Indeed. Now, let's review the examination guidelines." A cluster of students relentlessly assaulted the monsters with their weaponry. Students must accumulate evaluation points within the portal, primarily by gathering magic stones from the monsters they slay. Numerous students were searching for something, and any materials gathered within the portal, such as minerals or flora, will also contribute to the final score. 2 students, beaming, displayed their collected treasures. The overhead cameras remained active, capturing every moment. Furthermore, their collaborative efforts would be assessed. 1 student expertly utilized a shield skill to deflect a monster's assault. Another student poised their bow, ready to strike. Together, they masterfully vanquished the creature. A drone documented the entire encounter. The reporter grinned with delight. The time constraint, 60 minutes. Which students will rise to the occasion this year? Asahi Hinata and Yakuno Akane observed the footage amidst the throng. She nibbled on her lollipop, then remarked, "I have a bad feeling about this." He glanced at her, puzzled. "I don't follow. What do you mean?" Yakuno Akane scowled. "We're approaching this examination with utmost seriousness, yet they're treating it like a mere spectacle." She then raised her lollipop, scrutinizing it intently. Hinata was irritated as well. He stammered, "I." Before he could complete his sentence, a booming voice interrupted. "What's got you riled up, Kuramura?" Takayuki and Hagane approached from the distance. "You're the star of the show here," Hagane quipped. Hinata was bewildered. "Star of the show," he muttered. Akane Yakuno was visibly displeased with the situation. The center of attention, she mumbled under her breath. "Oh, here they come," Hinata observed. Takayuki patiently clarified, "Look, don't you know the reevaluation's trending all over the internet?" Kuramura Takayuki advanced a couple of steps. "This time, that cosplayer," he began, trailing off. Then, he leaned in close to Hinata's face, a derisive smirk playing on his lips. "Planning on showing off again, are we?" He chuckled. "It's so predictable." A pang of sadness struck Hinata at Takayuki's words. Akane Yakuno stood protectively behind him, fuming. "Did you come all this way just to spout that nonsense?" she demanded. Takayuki shoved his hands into his pockets. "Just happened to be in the vicinity," he said casually. "And well, I noticed you." Then, Kuramura Takayuki condescendingly patted Hinata's shoulder. "Relax, everyone. Today's a crucial day for us all, so let's avoid any conflicts." Hagane stood beside him, averting his gaze awkwardly. Asahi Hinata briefly glanced at him, but remained silent. The reporter promptly continued, "We'll commence the examination with the second group." He turned his head back. "Oh, it's beginning now. Students whose names are called, please assemble before the portal." Kuramura Takayuki offered a cheerful wave and said, "Good luck." Hagane turned to look, but didn't utter a word. He appeared flustered. Then Hagane abruptly turned and sprinted off. Yakuno Akane inquired, perplexed. "What's gotten into him? I haven't the slightest clue what he's thinking." He also turned away, offering no response. An instructor on the platform bellowed, "Is everyone prepared?" Takashima Gonzo raised his hand confidently. "This is a make-or-break examination." He then retrieved a device, explaining, "In case of emergency, use this." Sherry Truman stood arms crossed, her posture radiating authority. "The esteemed Deldora Association," she declared with dignity, "will come to your rescue." Takashima Gonzo's eyes hardened with determination. "All right then." Another wave of students swiftly joined the challenge. "The examination commences," a canine voice announced. "Group 2 is starting," it continued. "It's beginning," a diamond-like creature exclaimed excitedly. "Go, go, go." "The second group carries high expectations as well," a young man observed. "This is Shirohin Sachi's team," a giraffe commented. "That girl was quite the sensation during the placement exams," a husky added. "I'm curious to see what kind of formidable individuals they've become," an elderly man remarked, adding with a chuckle, "Still adorable, though." Kuramura Takayuki and Hagane are also participating. A bird chirped. "Let's observe how much you've developed since the placement examination." A magnifying glass responded. "Sometimes, an ordinary child can undergo a complete transformation." Footsteps pounded the ground relentlessly. A salmon quipped, "If they're just average." A diamond reacted to the sound, the rhythmic pounding of footsteps. Asahi, Hinata, and Yakuno Akane sprinted forward. The comments section erupted. "Oh man, they're coming," someone exclaimed. A giraffe chuckled. "Isn't that the kid who caused the broadcast incident?" A polar bear interjected. "I hear we might witness another intense naked brawl today." A pair of scissors inquired. "Aren't they disqualified yet?" A young man replied, "Seems like they might dodge expulsion today." A husky observed. "But has his armor's design been altered?" A rock responded, "It's just a hunch." Yakuno Akane's gaze drifted elsewhere. A bird remarked, "Partnering with Zara is quite unusual." Aki scoffed. "Regardless, they're undoubtedly going to be incredibly weak." A gemstone gushed. "There are so many adorable students at this school." Asahi Hinata made a startling discovery. A creature with razor-sharp teeth was closing in on them. "Game over," a giraffe cackled. A diamond joined in the mocking laughter. "What awful luck," a salmon cried out. "Run," the monster bellowed. It lifted its massive fist and slammed it into the earth. Triggering la colossale explosion. "Isn't that the game over announcement?" a young man questioned. "This is terrifying," a koala shrieked in fear. "Maybe Deldora will come save us," a cow quipped nervously. A powerful shockwave generated a dense cloud of smoke. Abruptly, the monster's mouth opened in agony. Something had impaled it. "What in the world is happening?" a bird chirped in confusion. The monster collapsed onto its back. Asahi Hinata, clad in crimson armor, had delivered a powerful kick. Everyone was astonished. A husky pondered aloud, "Hold on, isn't it the kid who caused the polar bear to interrupt the broadcast incident?" A dog exclaimed, "But he's still fighting, and he's actually doing damage." "Just as I suspected," a chicken clucked. "His armor's design has transformed," an elderly man exclaimed. "Wow." On the screen, Kagura Jinji observed Asahi Hinata's battle. He propped his chin on his hand, watching intently. Suddenly, something made his eyes widen in astonishment. "The way he repelled that monster was terrifying," he murmured. Everyone watching the large display was equally stunned. "Hey, could that be?" Minami Shizuku appeared restless. Class A Sherry Truman watched with fascination, her gaze fixed on the monitor. She remarked, "That's the first time I've witnessed a shape-shifting divine weapon." Tsushima Atsushi stood with his hands clasped behind him. "You don't seem surprised," she commented. "That useless, naked guy," she retorted, echoing everyone's thoughts. "You criticize him," he countered, "but you're cruel to those lacking talent." Sherry Truman pictured the dejected faces of rejected students, slinking away in shame. If someone truly lacked potential, they could never gain entry to Class E. She closed her eyes, her thoughts continuing. Clearly, there had to be something exceptional about it. Tsushima Atsushi smirked, having perceived Sherry Truman's inner musings. He wouldn't face expulsion, would he? Asahi Hinata's powerful kick sent the monster sprawling. He instantly assumed a defensive posture. Energy surged from his rage-fueled armor. As the monster charged forward, with a ferocious growl, he swiftly raised his fist. The monster lunged, its razor-sharp claws extended. It roared, then cried out in surprise as a shot struck its side. What was that? Yakunoa Kane provided covering fire with her six-barreled weapon. She unleashed a barrage of bullets at the creature. Seeing the precarious situation, she turned and yelled, "Hinata!" "Almost finished?" he called out impatiently. He darted down from above. "That's quite enough showing off." The monster glanced up in bewilderment. Asahi Hinata unleashed his first rage burst, landing a direct hit on the creature's head. He touched down gracefully in front of it. Asahi Hinata stooped to retrieve the magic stone. After successfully vanquishing the monster, he suddenly realized something. "Oops," he muttered. Holding the stone, he remembered the instructions. Absorb it manually, no writing aloud. With a grin, Asahi Hinata tossed the magic stone to Yakuno Akane. "Nice support," she said with a playful wink. And that was one impressive punch. Kuromura Takayuki, concealed behind a tree, had observed the entire scene. He turned away with an irritated TSK. The two shared a laugh and chatted. "The training's paying off. This feels incredible." Asahi Hinata clenched his fist, thinking to himself, that first rage burst when you truly let go. He mentally reviewed the steps he'd practiced. It's a method for unleashing all accumulated energy in one burst. "It's the wave skill I possess when using the rage armor." Asahi Hinata muttered to himself. "I've progressed this far in a mere 2 weeks. I can't maintain the rage armor indefinitely." But while lost in contemplation, another creature emerged. "Hinata!" Yakuno Akane yelled. "Behind you!" The mosquito, struck by a projectile, recoiled. It plummeted nearby. Yakuno Akane advanced, claiming responsibility. I dealt with it." She beamed. "I'm quite skilled, aren't I?" He readily commended Yakuno Akane. "Yeah," he mused, "Akane compensates for my shortcomings." Yakuno Akane reminisced about her own training. "Perhaps it's due to my persistent efforts. As I've been emphasizing all along, the potency and precision of my divine weapon have amplified." Her gaze intensified. "Above all, My enemy detection skills have sharpened considerably. Then she yelled, Hinata, they're approaching from that direction. Goblin monsters emerged in the distance, letting out menacing cackles. Hey, hey, Yakuno Akane echoed. 3 hobgoblins. He immediately charged forward. Understood. The two worked in perfect synchronization. Yakuno Akane provided covering fire, sniping enemies from afar. She swiftly neutralized the two in the rear, leaving them incapacitated. Enraged, the remaining hobgoblin roared, swinging its club wildly and screeching. Kiki. Simultaneously, Asahi Hinata lunged forward, fist clenched. He connected with the hobgoblin's club head-on. The club splintered, and his fist smashed into its face, making it recoil in agony. The force of the blow sent it hurtling backward. They dissolved into magic stones. Asahi Hinata paused, lost in thought. Now I have a finishing move, he mused. He gathered the magic stones. With a satisfied grin, I thought, this test is in the bag. Yakumo Akane, clutching 2 more magic stones, flashed a radiant smile at Hinata. We nailed it again. He exuded confidence. With newfound determination, the two of them looked ahead. At this pace, the school will have to reassess our abilities, he declared. Elsewhere in the woods, Kuromura Takayuki reappeared, slumped against a tree in a peculiar manner. Takayuki, a voice called out from the distance. Takayuki? How did it go? He slammed his fist into the tree trunk in a fit of rage. Kuromura Takayuki. He ground out through clenched teeth. His face was contorted, on the verge of a complete meltdown. Then, with a furious punch, he roared, You bastard! A barrage of punches and shouts reverberated through the forest. You bastard! You bastard! You bastard! Hagane attempted to pacify him. See, calm down. Takayuki. Kuromura Takayuki was consumed by frustration. They beat an ogre. That trash. Then, he remembered their collaboration. Was it due to a misunderstanding? No, that wasn't it. The tree he'd struck had a gaping hole in it. Kuromura Takayuki's eyes widened in realization. Losing his composure, he muttered to himself. Are you suggesting you could have defeated me at any moment, and you were merely holding back all this time? How dare you be so presumptuous? He exhaled sharply, then declared, Hey, let's modify the strategy. Kuromura Takayuki was bewildered. We're adhering to the initial plan, he stammered, but then he abruptly spun around and seized Hogan by the collar, eliciting a gasp of surprise. Kuromura Takayuki glared at him furiously. I said, we are proceeding with the original plan. Hogan stuttered again, terrified. Ignis. He clicked his tongue in annoyance and released him. Titch once again gripped his weapon, remaining silent. Then abruptly he shut his eyes and concentrated. A strange energy began to surge into his firearm. Everything was primed. An eerie stillness blanketed the surrounding area. Kuromura Takayuki scowled. I thought using the ogre would force a quick surrender, he mused internally. A sinister grin spread across his face. But they persevered, leaving me with no alternative. Menacing creatures materialized from the portal. Time to unleash the portal guardian, he declared. A flashback revealed a young Hagane, a boy with an ardent passion for heroism. I've always idolized the heroes on television, he voiced. Footage of a hero flickered on the screen. The Deldora's Guild is making a significant impact, he watched, mesmerized by the news report for the upcoming generation. Following the outbreak of the interdimensional conflict, his eyes gleamed with admiration. His reverence for them was evident. As a youngster, Hogan harbored a common aspiration. Someday I'll be there too, he vowed. But as he matured, reality diverged from his childhood aspirations. That dream swiftly crumbled into dust. As a grown man, he wielded his power with a heavy heart, disappointment etched on his face. Steel element, that's the legacy bestowed upon me. The steel element's capabilities were almost exclusively for healing and concocting potions. My talent is merely to harvest essences from living beings and formulate medicine, a gift for healing and potion making. He was frequently ambushed by goblins. I can't retaliate. I can only flee. He gripped his report card tightly, knuckles white. Relic rank, huh? Despair washed over him once more. His gaze was vacant as he fixated on the notice before him. Of course, Class C. Just my luck. Refusing to accept his fate, he desperately sought assistance for a transfer to a higher class. I require a partner with offensive capabilities. That individual was Takayuki Hagen. He offered a respectful bow, while he simply offered Hagen a wicked grin. I'm using that as justification to indulge myself. He was a cruel and unscrupulous delinquent, perpetually tormenting others, including Hinata Hagani. Witnessing the event, Hagani could only remain speechless. Guilt gnawed at him as he stood anxiously behind, but his self-centeredness ultimately prevailed. He feigned ignorance, pretending not to notice a thing. Simultaneously, a sense of relief washed over him. Takayuki relentlessly degraded Hinata, drenching his head with water, and laughing victoriously as their classmates merely observed. No one intervened to help Hinata. They even egged Takayuki on. Brutal. That's savage. Huh. He again derived a perverse comfort from Hinata's suffering, rationalizing that there were individuals more monstrous than himself. Contrary to his assumptions, Hinata didn't passively accept this wretched predicament. His eyes burned with a defiant spirit, resisting the malevolence. But Hagana was utterly stunned when he witnessed Hinata's undeniable progress. He had grown stronger, effortlessly defeating those hoodlums. That guy, he's become so much more powerful, he observed in disbelief. He's even capable of that now. The person I once belittled, Hinata was striving for self-improvement, while I remained stagnant, hiding in his shadow, stuck in place, indulging in self-satisfaction. While he relentlessly pushed forward, he clenched his fist. I can't let this stand. Enraged by the sight of such a determined individual, he ground his teeth, refusing to concede. Once again, envy and selfishness consumed him, overtaking his thoughts and fueling a sinister plot against Hinata. With Takayuki in mind, he poured a mysterious liquid into his palm. Of course, why am I even questioning this? A wicked smile crept across his face as he gazed at Hinata, his eyes betraying his malevolent intentions. Feigning ignorance, he approached him, lightly tapping him on the shoulder, with his hand coated in the substance. A palm print materialized on Hinata's shirt. Perhaps this fluid is used to designate targets, although I doubt that's the case. I went ahead and did it anyway. Scene change, a darkened forest. Night. A student piloted a drone using their unique ability. The drone swiftly pursued its objective and soared into the distance. It was Takayuki's collaborator. The trio, including Hagani, were concealed behind the undergrowth, observing. He barked an order. All right, let's move. He rose to his feet. His gaze was cunning as he fixed his eyes upon him, a triumphant smirk playing on his lips. I'll leave the rest to you. He tightened his grip on his weapon, drawing a bead on his quarry. Their prey was a monstrous creature guarding a gateway. He offered words of encouragement. Steady your aim. A quick response. Understood. With renewed focus, he meticulously loosed an arrow toward the beast. The arrow swiftly pierced the beast with a sharp whiz, sending it into a fit of rage. Its eyes blazed crimson, as if consumed by madness. It unleashed a deafening roar, shaking the entire forest to its core. Observing the chaos, Takayuki erupted in a triumphant laugh. Your concoction is working its magic swiftly. He sneered, glancing at him with a smug grin. Is that what you'd refer to as a rage pheromone? Those marked, including Hinata, will become targets. They've resorted to dirty tactics. Anyone afflicted by it. They intend to utilize the beast to exact revenge upon Hinata. It will relentlessly pursue its target, anyone tainted with the potion. He manipulated Hogan to achieve his wicked objectives. I hadn't anticipated it would affect the portal boss as well. He observed the beast again, a hint of apprehension in his voice. Hearing this, something feels amiss. His true nature was revealed, and a look of intense displeasure washed over his face. Quite the chatterbox for someone who loosed the arrow himself. He remarked, observing Hagani's anxious fidgeting. He discerned both Hagani's character and his critical vulnerability. I prefer action over words, Takayuki sneered, regarding Hagani with a sly grin, relishing his perceived victimhood. His eyes betrayed his utter disdain. Deeming Hagani pathetic, Takayuki swiftly departed with his cohort. Let's go, he commanded. Hagani, bewildered, sputtered. Hold on. Wait, he stammered in confusion. Just as Takayuki was about to vanish, Hagani stopped him, rage igniting. He clutched an open vial of liquid, his gaze burning with malice. Without hesitation, he doused Takayuki with the contents of the vial, catching him completely unaware. Takayuki icily declared, we have to eliminate the evidence. The beast, attracted by the scent of the liquid, glared ferociously at Hagani, who now stood frozen in terror. The bee launched its assault, lunging and striking relentlessly. Once again, it wreaked havoc on everything in its path. Name could only shield his head and flee in terror, screaming, oh. He scrambled away in a blind panic, demanding to know why Takayuki was just watching him run, standing idly at a distance. Takayuki nonchalantly explained his motives. If it's the portal boss, they'll investigate the disturbance, he stated calmly. If we're caught, it means expulsion. Hearing these audacious, wicked words, Name finally grasped Takayuki's sinister objective. But it was too late. They were already attempting to shift all the blame onto him. Takayuki regarded him with disdain. He even had the audacity to offer one final condescending reminder. If you don't run, you'll die. The monstrous creature continued its relentless pursuit, bearing its ferocious fangs and claws. Damn it, helpless, he could only flee in terror. He frantically rummaged through his pockets. I have to alert the association. Where's the emergency beacon? But it was nowhere to be found. It was gone. A memory flashed in his mind. Takayuki seizing him by the collar. Don't tell me. He ran, despair rising. He understood the enemy's scheme far too late. He intended to eliminate me all along. As he fled, his mind raced for a solution, a way to survive. There's no time to mask my scent. Desperate to escape the creature's grasp, he desperately searched for any possible escape route. A single vial of medicine remained in his pocket. One last dose of the liquid. But if I use this now, Hagani's name trailed off. Running in desperation, he laughed bitterly at his own predicament. This is it, isn't it? The beast's claws finally snagged him. Despair overwhelmed him, tears streaming down his face. The beast had mauled him, leaving him grievously wounded. Yet in this moment, he only blamed himself. It's futile, he despaired, isn't it? Elsewhere, a goblin lay vanquished. Success! Hinata and Akane were steadily decimating the goblin ranks. He clutched a monster stone, a satisfied grin spreading across his face. I've amassed quite a collection, he murmured. Akane pumped her fist, brimming with determination. At this pace, she exclaimed joyfully, I can definitely make it in a Class D. He echoed her optimism, his voice filled with hope. Exactly. Suddenly, something hurtled towards them. An arrow, tipped with a viscous liquid, flew straight at Hinata. With lightning reflexes, he deflected it with a swift kick, but the liquid splashed, coating him. Confusion washed over them both. Akane rushed to his side, her voice laced with worry. Wait, are you all right? She asked urgently. He stared at the substance on himself, bewildered. He wiped his face, perplexity evident in his eyes. What is this fluid? More crucial, to whom does it belong? Mustering his remaining energy, Hagen sprinted towards him, gasping for air. Hinata stared at Hagen's blood-soaked form, utterly stunned. Hagen simply collapsed to his knees, the gesture slightly easing his burden of guilt, as well as being an apology to Hinata. Now it's okay, Hinata won't be attacked anymore. Akane, seeing the scene, panicked and rushed towards him with Hinata. Wait, is this dangerous? Itagani, seeing his two friends worried about him, shouted, Don't come near. He just sat there not resisting even when the beast rushed towards him. And at this moment, he was strangely calm. I will stop here. Hinata didn't hesitate and rushed toward him. With one hand, he blocked the beast attack. Hagani could only sit there astonished. The beast guarding the portal was very powerful, and it seemed he wouldn't be able to resist for long. Both he and Hagen were thrown far away. He worriedly asked about his situation. Hagen, are you alive? He was remorseful, not daring to face Hinata, only stammering back yes. He looked at him with embarrassment and worry, stammering why. Why did you do that? He calmly replied, stating his viewpoint. Whether your life ends here or not has not been decided yet. Hinata got up ready to fight and boldly declared, I don't know how to give up. After realizing the seriousness of the situation, the guide master immediately started the rescue operation of Deldoris. The Deldoris Guild noticed that this was a deliberately caused accident, because normally portal bosses don't leave the portal core. That's because if the core is destroyed, the inside of the portal collapses. But this is the first time they have seen someone act so recklessly, although they know that the boss is chasing Hagani. So he has more likely been deceived into this situation. The boss is way more powerful than Hinata, but the guide still wants to see the limit of Hinata ability. So they wait until Hinata unleashed all of his power. When the boss started to attack, Hinata dragged Hagane out first. The strike of the boss was so powerful that it takes time to fade. Standing in front of the wide skill gap, Hinata remained calm and dodged the attack, then ready to counterattack. While he is in the rage mode, the The boss seems not to take any damage from his attack. Right away, the boss uses his tail to hit him. He was flung into the tree trunk next to Akane. After the strong impact, know that Akane can stand the boss attack. He pushed her out, but he is injured by when saving her. Akane suggests that they should run. But Hinata didn't listen because his target is to prove to everyone he surpasses the upper class. He wants to use revenge, but he is not sure that if it is able to defeat it. On the other side, Hagane trying to draw the boss' attention because he don't want to risk everyone's life. The monster aim at him since he still have the potion in his hand. As usual, Hinata don't want to give up on Hagane and continue to save him from the boss. Hagane was admired by his philosophy of life. Hinata always looked to my father as a shining example to follow, even when his life was in danger. He didn't pretend not to see people, and won't be able to face his dad as he run away, so he don't want any losses to do that. He needs to buy some time until the Deljuras arrive. As a result of using too much rage mode, he is exhausted in a blink he gets hit. Takeyuki observes from the brush. He is so satisfied when everything is going as he planned. As the moment Hinata got hit, he achieved the condition of dead and awarded the permission to meet. Suddenly he was summoned to a random dimension. In front of him was a little, and she called him master. A lot of questions popped up in his mind. While he was finding out what happened, the little girl went behind and whispered into his ear that he is on the verge of dead, and she is the reason why he's still alive because she summoned him. She explained that this is the mental world she controls. In other words, it is the world inside his suit, and she shows him what is happening outside. The distance between life and death is milliseconds, but if he turns back quickly, he might barely dodge it. So it turned out the little girl is here to help Hinata, so he rubs her head and thanks her in shyness. She tells Hinata that it's too early to feel relieved, because if things continue like this, he will die soon. He absent-minded because she can only help him this one time, and she doesn't have much strength left to survive the situation. The little girl will give Hinata a little assistance by poking his eyes, although that is painful, but she have made a slight adjustment to his eyes. Now, he is able to defeat the bossy by changing his rigid fighting skill. First is to observe the opponent. Clearly, Hinata is so confused about all the thing that the little girl done, so she tell him that she just a nameless traitor. The time is running out, so Hinata has to return into real world. He still has many questions to ask the little girl. She told him that if you want to know more, you will have to get stronger, and it seemed that the girl know all the secret. Why a weapon like a holy relic was given to you all, and who brought war to the human world. Hinata slowly drowning down the water while asking the girl. When he get back his conscious, he quickly dodged the attack. But this time is different, so we want to fight instead of running. His movement now is smoother and faster than before. He managed to dodge all of the attack. Akane is surprised, not just the movement. Hinata can also see the sinister aura like a killing intent, even though he nearly died because of the monster. But his new eyes can now see the opponent weak spot, so he can use revenge to finish the boss in one shot. At this time, the Deldoris also arrived, but they saw Takeyuki hiding surreptitiously in the brush, so they wait to see what he's going to do. On the other hand, Hinata charged toward the boss' weak spot after dodge its attack. He then forecast all the power into his right fist and released a critical punch to the weak spot. He hawked the boss up and then smashed it back to the ground and defeated the boss. Hinata's performance shocks the guide in principle, and the social chat is overflowing with compliments and astonishment. Everyone couldn't believe that, because Hinata went from the weakest person in Class C, who got beaten by a small goblin, into the hero that saved his friends from the portal boss. They all thought it was over for him. His sister at the hospital is very happy and proud of her. While watching his fight, the students from class are also amazed, and they know why the expelled student lost to him. After the revenge, Hinata runs out of stamina and his rage suit also disappears. Takeyuki can't believe what just happened, although the plan was ruined. Takeyuki don't want to give up yet. He wants to take advantage to finish Hinata, since Hinata's power is recovering. His teammate doesn't want to mess with Hinata after what he saw, but if he doesn't finish it, he can be expelled from the school. They don't know that their conversation had been noticed by the Deljura's guide, so she orders them to arrest him immediately. But the principal still suggests that they should wait, because stopping Takeyuki halfway will only fuel his resentment. If that happens, he will try something like this again someday. In spite that Hinata seems to be reaching his limit, they still let them handle it on their own. Takayuki and his teammate disable the drone, then approach Hinata, but the Hinata can block his attack easily. Even though he exhausted, Takayuki was consumed by anger. In a blind rage, trying it hit him. But no matter what, he still dodged all and punched Takayuki right in the face. He knew that Takayuki is the reason for all of the tragedy, so he don't want to ignore him this time. So he finished him with a knockhead. He told Takayuki he was acting too childish. That is why Hinata didn't bother with him until now. After listening to what Hinata said, he released all of his anger, standing up and try to strike him back. But this time Hinata throw a full power punch to knock out it. He don't even need to use his holy relic. The S-Guide and principal are now keeping an eye on Hinata's potential. The day after the exam, the school went back to daily routine. But from now on, Hinata no longer be the weakest of the weak. Everyone had a different perspective on him. The looks of disdain and mockery were gone, replaced by admiration and respect. At last they achieved their goal of changing perceptions. When they walked past Shizuku, she was also impressed, but she told him that if it were Class A, he would have won much more easily. Akane is annoyed by the behavior of those two, but Hinata-kan that Shizuku is casual as always, so he just take it as a compliment. But her partner has a very suspicious look at him. In the dormitory, Hagani is preparing his belongings to leave, because he is one of those who involved the Takayuki plan. When he leaves, he takes a last look at the place that he always dreaming of. Walking down to the hall, he sees Hinata. So he wants to say goodbye one last time before he goes, and he aware of all of the act. But because he was so scared of changing, now Takayuki is headed to juvenile detention for attempted murder. But they only expelled Hagani since he was under threat. But turned out he didn't give up the road to be a hero yet. It's just that his holy relic is no suitable for direct fight. So the principal told him the recovery potions that he make have value. So he said, it better than doing not thing is to use his ability in the right way. He was inspired by Hinata, and he promised to him that he shouldn't wallow in despair. And last thing, he wanted sorry about everything. And thanks for the lesson to learn it from Hinata. Then have socket their hand and friendly. At that moment in the principal office, her is so relieved that everything ended safely. But the true is he was quite risky because of that. They could see good show out of it. And even Dell, Doris's guild master, was pleased, and she wanted him to come as intern. The master is rarely to offered someone an internship, and from now on, it is officially allowed for first years to go to the front lines. The condition is being in Class C or higher. Both Akane and Hinata have matched the condition. There are a lot of differences in class, such as the posture being different. There is a sense of growth in B class that he couldn't find in Class C, and in order not to fall behind, he needs to work harder. A new friend comes to Hinata to ask how it feels to be in Class B. His name is Arakawa Subaru, and he has been in Class B for a while. But turned out he is mocking Hinata, because he assumes that a Class E student cannot improve that fast. He believed that Hinata has some kind of cheating. He has never heard of Class E. Jump straight to Class B. He also asked, is it true that even the portal boss was helped by Del Doris? But responding to him, Hinata just laughed. Because there is always someone like Takayuki in any class. During the first lesson, the teacher wanted to remind all the students that they were in Class B. Right now, Hinata saw that many of them had changed, but he could be not satisfied with being in Class B. He should aim for Class A. This time, only one student from class has switched classes, and that means the gap in skills is significant. And if they want to join a good guild, they need to work on closing that gap, and by that, Subaru asked the teacher about the unusable of the practice portal. But from now on, the student who moved up to Class C or higher will have a provisional license to enter D2C class. Practical portals, however, they need permission to accompany a guild, recognized by Del Doris and the government. It called internships, as he can tell. Student who belonging to a guide have gained real experience since their school days. It might put the student's life at risk. But if they aim for higher places, it is worth challenging themselves. Although Hinata and Akane is in different class, but they still prefer to have lunch together. She also being looked at with the same gaze, because she came from Class C, and also gotten entangled with someone like Takayuki. Since Class C is qualified to take an internship, Akane is so excited about it, because she can get paid based on her activities. However, it varies by the guild recruiting and the portal being challenged, but it can be substantial, and goblins only give 150 yen. Now Hinata is being able to earn money while going to school. It means he could help with his mother's and Hikari's hospital bills, and more. Overgrowing in the training portal is starting to hit its limit, so it's a two-in-one deal. There is a recruitment notice on the bulletin board in front of the faculty room. It is always bustling with people there. Hinata immediately heading there while they plan to go there together. Suddenly Sachi appear and offer to go with them. And because Class B and Class A is right next to each other, so she came up as promised. And she want to go and turn together with Hinata. But he refused because if he go around with her, he won't be able to train. At the corner, Subaru heard their conversation. And he curious that in Class A's top-tier talent came to see Hinata. So in that case, he also want to go intern at the same place and trying to expose Hinata. After school, they all applied for the same internship as expected. Sachi applied for the same internship as Hinata. The internship location is LBN AB rank guild, and the target location is a D-class portal. But they're only accepting 3 recruits. When he got home, the little girl, his suit dimension show up and said that with Hinata current skills, it wouldn't be strange to die hopelessly at the hands of anyone. Anywhere Hinata is surprised by the appearance of the little girl. It turned out that she could be wherever she wanted, because this was bound to his castle. He thought that he needed to become stronger to meet her. But the fact is she could appear whenever she wanted. This time, she came to check Hinata's growth and find out why is it so slow. And she told him that originally sacred relics emerge from nothingness and interfere with physical objects. The little girl doesn't have the exact name too. She prefer Hinata to call the Nanisher. During the daytime, Nanisher is always beside Hinata and staring at him. He is so annoyed by her, but only Hinata can see Nanisher. No one else can see her. He make Akane a bit scared by asking her if she saw Nanisher. Then Sachi come to have lunch with him. She is also scared when Akane asks her that if she sees. On the other hand, Nanisher is rushing Hinata to training because she knows that with his current skills, it wouldn't be surprising if he died at any moment. Hinata's still wondering about something, but Nanisher won't talking to him because he's still not strong enough. Then Mr. Gonzo came in. He is proud of himself because his in Class E are now at Class B and C. Then he give result to who are authorized by the teacher. Both Akane and Sachi got assigned, but strangely Hinata didn't make it. They prioritized Akane over him. That also means Subaru failed too. But Hinata have received a special offer from S-rank Guild Deldoris. Then after school, he go to the training portal like always. But now he reached the maximum. So he no longer absorb Hobgoblins' Mano Stones. He only need my strength to increases by 5 more. Then he will be able to freely use the Rage Suit. Vanisher still assume that he will die right away if he going into a real battle in that condition. And about the eyes, that she granted him quite a useful ability. But it doesn't last long because Hinata intelligence is low. Intelligence is the power to realize supernatural phenomena through understanding to be simply. It's the power needed to activate magic. But Hinata only heard that there are monsters who can use magic, but he have never heard of a human using it. But true as magic can manifest in anyone. However, the talent that emerge after manifestation vary from person to person. Now the level of magic in Hinata is 5 and it way too low. Since it has come, Nanisher have no choice but to use a different method, is to challenge a C-grade portal. Hinata is able to do it, but he can't fully utilize that ability. So he entered the C-grade portal that Nanisher opened. Right after stepping into it, many spears pierced through his body. Since he started training, the suffering he endured in the past now seems meaningless compared to the pain of the present. When he wakes up, all the things he had just been through look like a nightmare, and he is still alive. It turns out that the portal Nanisher made only transports the spirit. It doesn't affect the physical body. But his body is defenseless while he is in the portal. Hinata is so upset with what just happened. But Nanisher said that if you think only deaths he can understand will come to him, then he won't get any stronger. It's just like awakening of the suit. They have their condition to awakening, and dungeons is one shortcut to do it. Then they got home and continuing to challenge the dungeons, repeating over and over despite how painful it is to Hinata. He's slowly losing his nerve. After a while, he must face death without yielding to the terror that what called heroes the next day when he goes to school. He cannot stop thinking about yesterday that he couldn't try again. After that attempt, the real death with pain made him hesitate. Even Nanisher gave up on him, even though he knew he couldn't die. The pain felt very real. Then he comes to the Del Doris intern presentation, where all the class as student gathered. Shizuku Minasei, Kaido, Hibishima, Chloe Budget, and Anko Haikan. Hinata and Subaru is the only that come from Class B. As soon as they arrived, they started mocking each other, with comparisons of rank between the classes. However, Chloe wasn't interested in their conversation. He thought Subaru wasn't worth associating with, which made Subaru so angry that he challenged him to a duel. Right then, and there was only then that he realized this guy could control invisible blades. Hinata surprised him by catching one of his blades. Seeing Hinata said that it is pathetic to sweat like that, and if he was going to show such an ugly display, she would prefer him to withdraw from this internship. After Shizuku told weak people a burden, Hinata turned furiously, but thankfully, the teacher came on time to stop their argument, so that they can start the presentation. Hinata came home. He made a firm determination after hearing those words from Shizuku. He suddenly seemed motivated. He was called weak, and he couldn't say anything back, so he doesn't want to be a coward, who's too scared to face things head on. His courage is resonating the suit. This time he was able to advance further inside. By predicting movements and upcoming events, he managed to evade the spike traps. Each time, he dodged an obstacle. He thought ahead and anticipated the situation, but he still had not reached to the level that he survived in the dungeon yet. So days later, he continued to train, and finally he met the dungeon's boss. After training time, he unclocked many skills that increase his speed and reflex. The day of the internship, Guild Master Sherry and Submaster Jean had prepared everything to welcome the students from Valkyrie Academy. The sub-guide seemed very interested in the students of Class A, especially Shizuku, but he was unaware of Hinata's presence. Shizuku and Subaru showing their respect to the guy. So the plan is to challenge an unexplored C rank portal in teams frontline, middle, and rear. Class A will be the front, and the two in Class B is assigned to the middle guard. With the Submaster, the goal is to defeat the boss and close the portal, no matter regardless of which portal it is. Everyone in the group has the duty to protect the civilians and suppress the presence of the portals. And there is no such thing as who should or shouldn't. But there still appears some who do it for fame and money do it. But Guide Sherry admire her grandfather. So, she chose the first option. So the front line go first. Then the middle come after. Normally the Submaster will be at the front line, but today he has to stay in the middle to keep eye on the students. The middle job is to defeat the monster. After the front line strike, it's time for the middle guard to go. When they enter the portal, all of the monster had been defeated by the front line, but there's still one try to throw rocks at them. Hinata react fast and block the rock. Then the Submaster only need one sword to slide the monster in half. In the blink of an eye, then they started scoot and hunt them down. Due to the fast reaction of Hinata, Submasters King D impress. On the other battlefield, Sachi and Akane are fighting at B rank guy. But it seems that Sachi doesn't have to drop a sweat. Dealing with the monster, Akane is kind of upset because Sachi has all the work done so quickly that she didn't have the chance to contribute at all. So she wonders what's happening to Hinata. On this side, Hinata is able to use all of the things that he learned into a real battle. Even his friend and the guide are impressed by his moves and skill. But Hinata's classmate don't want him to take the stage. So to join the battle, they both very good. Subaru has sufficient attack power and stamina. As for Hinata, he doesn't have much, but he knows how to act while considering his position. He doesn't overstep his boundaries by rushing ahead. And more than anything, his reaction speed is abnormal, even faster than some of the squad members. We have the ability to sense danger. A skill only be honed through real battles. Now the sub-guide have the chance to see the potential of Hinata. While Hinata was learning with Nanashir, she taught him to refine the instinct of sensing danger. He have to question everything and sharpen his five senses. After some time, the squad realized that the number of monsters was far beyond expected. These monsters should have already been wiped out by now. Yet they suspected that something unusual had happened. But the S-Guide is one of the 10 in Japan, who wields a 5-star ranked artifact there. No way she loses suddenly. A sniper was aiming at the Submaster, but Hinata noticed the sniper and stopped him from shooting. The vice captain, he said that it could be a criminal guy trying to steal the portal rewards. So this time Hinata saved the sub-guide. But then a squad member rushed at them and requests, regroup with the Vanguard because she is in danger. Previously the Vanguard group go in first, and their job was to leave as few enemies as possible. For the rear units, spread out over a wide area within communication range, and take out every enemy they encountered. So the one chosen to do this job must be high class, and also go with an S-Guide like Sherry. Her ability can use for defense and attack at the same time. All of the rumors about her is right until now. After finishing the big monster, Sherry leave the small one to students. Shizuku realized the strange about the monster movement. Enko, the girl who holds the teddy bear, seemed to be harmless, but her ability requires magical crystals from defeated enemies. By picking up the crystals lying on the ground, she can turn it into a monster that she can control and reuses them. That is the first time S-Guide see a holy relic like it. Then the same here. A sniper ambush is set up, but the S-Guide can sense it. But there are more than one. They started firing rapidly at the vanguard. Notice the situation. She told the squad to call reinforcements. This is not just an illegal guide, aiming for loot, because if looting is the goal, they would normally wait until after the portal boss is defeated, and the shots aren't from artifacts. It seems that someone is controlling the monsters. While thinking about the solution, she needs the student to fight small monster, but she didn't know that there is a trap under her spot. So when she got trapped, they shot the crest at the S-Guide so she cannot use her power. Hei had the ability to neutralize artifacts, and were also overwhelming the Vanguard faction. They seized the opportunity and fired a fatal shot to finish off Sherry. But what they didn't expect was that Hinata arrived just in time and blocked the bullet. Everyone was shocked to see Hinata.